Shall we begin, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Okay, ma'am. A single conversation across the table with a wise man is better than mere study of books. So, good evening, everyone who are here to grab this opportunity of quenching one's thirst of knowledge. Welcome to SAMSIDDHI 2021 International Web Conference Series conducted by Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, powered by DIKSHA E-Learning. As somewhere in the ancient mystic trinity, you get 3 as a magic number, delegates. Today we have the great opportunity of attending the session of 3 great doctors, Dr. Nisha Kumari ma'am, Dr. Niranjan Kumar sir, and Dr. B. Ravi Shankar sir, who are here to share their perspective view on the topic Kayagni and its perversion, a new perspective with gut microbiome.
Before starting the session, I would like to go through a few of the basic instructions to be followed throughout the session. For uninterrupted class session, please use laptop with high-speed internet connection. Please make sure your microphone is on mute to have a disturbance-free session. In case of any disruption, please check your internet connection firstly, and if the problem is within our network connection, kindly raise the issue in the chat box. Filling your full name to be displayed is appreciated. Any questions can be posted in the chat box. Questions raised will be cleared at the end of the session. Now, without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Neetu K.S., Assistant Professor, Department of Kaya Chikitsa, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, for welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Thank you. My humble pranams to the gathering. It's my privilege to extend a cheerful welcome to you all. On behalf of Ayurveda College, Coimbatore and DIKSHA E-Learning, it gives me immense pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to our guest speakers. As you all know, we have 3 guest speakers today, Dr. Nisha Kumari, Madam, Dr. B. Ravi Shankar Sir, Dr. Niranjan Kumar Sir, to detail into the concept of Kayagni and in all its pervasions and a new perspective with gut microbiome. I extend a warm word of welcome to you all, our guest speakers, for accepting our invitation and for being with us here today. Thank you, sir. And thank you, madam. Hope this discussion will be one among the best to look into our concepts in a new perspective. Let me proudly welcome all the delegates who have joined with us today. Welcome you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. In today's session, we'll be discussing about Kayagni and its all-pervasive, a new perspective with gut microbiome, initially by Dr. Nisha Kumari ma'am. Before moving on to the session, I would like to take the privilege of introducing ma'am. Ma'am is a professor in Department of Roganidana and Vikriti Vignana. She completed her BAMS in Alva Ayurveda Medical College and MD in SDM Ayurveda College, Udupi. Ma'am started her career as a physician and a lecturer in 2007 at Alva Ayurveda Medical College and has an experience of over 13 years in the field of teaching. One of her major research work being RGUHS, project on antimicrobial action of Duphana on airborne microorganisms in hospital indoor environment. Various articles have been published in her name and in national and international journals. She is also the author of the well-known textbook of Roganidana and Vikriti Vignana. Her paper on identification, interpretation of Janmabala Pravritti Vikara in current pediatric practice won the Best Paper Award, and her poster presentation on etiology of Arbuda won the Best Poster Award in 2010. Ma'am has attended various lectures, national and international, and workshops on hospital administration, documentation, and waste management. She has guided over 11 theses. She has presented papers on various national level conferences, which has received many accolades. Currently, ma'am is a professor at Yenapova Ayurveda College and Hospital, Bangalore, Karnataka. Now, without any further delay, let us start our session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks for the introduction. A very pleasant evening, dear listeners. Very delighted to be a part of SAMSIDDHI, sharing the platform with stalwarts. Thank you for the opportunity. We all have read the importance of Kayagni in every treatise of Ayurveda. They have kept the place of Kayagni in the epitome. Agni is prana, bhala, urja, teja. As long as Agni is in your body, there is life, and the life departs from the body soon after the Agni lets off. Ayur varno balam, swastham upa. Sorry, there is a network issue. Swastham utsahopachayo prabha, ojas tejo agnayaha, pranaschokta dehagni hetukaha, shanto agno mriyate, yukte chiram, jivat anamayaha. Amaya means disease. Anamaya means devoid of disease as long as the Agni is intact and healthy. The lifespan, strength and immunity, health and activeness, nourishment and the glow, maintenance of vitals are all done by Agni. Now, is this for real or is it just an exaggeration? Does Agni has this all pervasiveness in our body? Maybe, but it has to be in different form, not just digestive fire or digestive enzymes. It is much more and much beyond them. And what that can be, let us have an added perspective to it. Being a person from Roganidana, microbes have always fascinated me. Inside our body, there exists another world, an ecosystem of microbes that does many activities that are still unexplored. And that world is human gut microbiome. The human microbiome is the aggregate of all microbiota that resides on or within human tissues and biofilms, along with corresponding anatomical sites in which they reside, including skin, mammary glands, seminal fluids, uterus, ovarian follicles, lung, saliva, oral mucosa, conjunctiva, biliary tract, and gastrointestinal tract. Most members of human microbiota benefit humans by providing nutrients from the ingested food in return for assisting with the breakdown of food or preventing the colonization of gut by harmful bacteria. There are, however, many microorganisms in the human microbiota that are closely related to pathogenic organisms or are themselves capable of becoming pathogenic. I repeat, they themselves are capable of becoming pathogenic. So gut microbiota are capable of becoming pathogenic or interaction with the external pathogenic organisms. This concept is very similar to our dosha concept. The definition of dosha goes, dushayanti iti dosha. The doshas have tendency to undergo dushti and produce disease. Similarly, the human gut microbiome performs physiological activity and they are capable of becoming pathogenic. The study of human microbiome is important and it gives an indigenous microbiota. Only their dysbiosis results in an imbalance of the indigenous microbial community, paving the way for invading pathogens. So, without they getting dysbiosed, there is no room for the pathogens to get invaded. That is why the imbalance or the dysbiosis of gut microbiome decreases our immunity. Because of this, it allows the pathogens to enter inside the body and only then produce the disease. So is the doshas. When the doshas are in samavastha, the person remains swastha. The dosha, when undergo dushti, then only vikara or roga will manifest. The microbiota has its impact on every system of our body: metabolism, synthesis, defense, homeostasis, transportation, transmission, transformation of various enzymatic activity in cellular level is brought about by various kinds of microbes in our body. All these are the activities of doshas and Agni. The doshas maintaining the equilibrium and we giving medicines for the maintenance of the equilibrium of the dosha, and optimum intensity of the Agni is the only focus in Ayurveda Chikitsa. There are up to 1,000 species. Amongst them, only 70% of them
Ma'am, I'm sorry for the interruption, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible, ma'am? Ma'am, your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Hello.
Delegates, please stand by. She has got some network issues. Ma'am, am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm back, I hope.
Yeah, ma'am. Now it's audible, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry for that. I'll continue. When the host and microbial interaction, which was symbiotic or mutualistic, will turn dysbiotic, same like dosha undergoing dushti, the disease will manifest. So, diet or ahara, vihara, diet in the sense viruddha, adhyashana, asatmya, vishama bhojana, will yield diet derived microbial metabolites. These microbial metabolites that are toxic can trigger the dysbiosis that cause disharmony between the host and the microbes. These diet-derived microbial metabolites are called as AMA. They are called as xenobiotics in the language of biochemistry, just like AMA that can combine with dosha to produce samadosha, samadusha, amavisha. Similarly, these xenobiotics produced from diet metabolites will interact with every cell in the immune system and destroy them. When our immune system is destroyed, then infection, inflammation, and autoimmunity is the next response, paving the way for all kinds of disease. As we say, ama is a moola for all kinds of roga. Similarly, xenobiotics produced by dysbiosis of gut microbiota will cause all kinds of disease of all the systems. See, here in between you have microbiota, and if it is in the symbiosis with the host, everything is good. As long as our gut microbiome is in symbiosis with our body, that is the host, then there is equilibrium, normalcy, physiological activities happening. The diet contains so many elements. And when these diet interact with our gut microbiome, a new metabolites will be yielding. And these metabolites will in turn react with the microbes and produce dysbiosis. This dysbiosis will destroy the immune system. And whenever immune system is destroyed, then the body becomes open for invaders. So when the invaders enter, we see different kinds of infection. So the symbiosis of gut microbiome with the host gives you health. The dysbiosis of the microbiome with the host gives the disease. Now, somatic disease happens this way. What about others? Microbiota influences mind, emotions, behavior, personality, and all. Same like Sharirika dosha having influence over Manasika doshas, the Vata as well as Pitta with the Rajas, as well as the Kapha dosha with the Tamas. It is said that autism, ADHD, and its spectrum are all influenced by gut microbiota and their influence over human brain and neurological development. We all have a specific pattern of gut microbiota arranged in a particular form. Everybody have their own way of arrangement of gut microbiota in their gut. A particular pattern of gut microbiota gives you a particular pattern of immune system. And that pattern of gut microbiome as well as the immune system gives you a particular psychological character. In short, you can say it as Prakriti or composition, the human constitution. To say this diverse group of microbiomes that you have will give you a particular format of immunity, that is the Deha Bala, and at the same time, Sattva Bala also. Their dysbiosis will create dysbiosis everywhere. In this picture, you can see the commensals. You can see at the bottommost aspect of this picture, the commensals or the gut microbiota will yield those materials which especially is named as short chain fatty acids. This microbial metabolites and neurotransmitters will be influenced by this, and then directly it has got development over the gut to the brain axis, this from the gut to the brain. So that is called as gut-brain axis. These influence neural pathway reaching the CNS as well as the brain. At the same time, the materials that are synthesized by the gut microbiota will also influence the endocrine cells. So these will influence endocrine system also. Now the endocrine system will release hormones. These hormones influence the nervous system as well as the brain. So this is how the gut microbiome has got its influence over the brain, where we call it as a chemical signaling that takes place between the gastrointestinal tract and the central nervous system. That term has been expanded to include the role of gut flora in the interplay. The gut-brain axis includes the central nervous system, neuroendocrine or neuroimmune systems, which is also including the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, sympathetic and parasympathetic arms of the autonomic nervous system, including the enteric nervous system, the vagus nerve, as well as the gut microbiota. All these form a single compound doing various kinds of physical, physiological, and psychological activities. So here is a diagram that represents what is that connectivity or interaction happening between the microbes that are present in the gut with that of the brain. So the gut microbiome does the production and expression and turnover of neurotransmitters. They are being synthesized in the gut, and from there it will be transmitted to the brain. and also protection of intestinal barrier and tight junction integrity, modulation of enteric sensory afferents, bacterial metabolites, gut hormone secretion, enteric immune regulation. All these are done by gut to the brain. In turn, how the brain responds to the gut, or in what way the brain supports the gut bacteria. They are as follows. Alteration of mucus and biofilm production, because the biofilm as well as mucus is very much essential for the growth, nourishment, and continuity of the gut microbiome. Alteration of intestinal permeability, alteration of immune function, enteric neuroendocrine modulation, as well as regulation of intestinal motility is done by the brain to the gut. So this interaction between the gut as well as the brain and this communication, this coordination paves the way of manifestation of right time of appetite, yielding good energy, maintaining homeostasis, expressing right emotions as well as attitude, providing response to the stress, gaining learning ability as well as memory, and right pain are all provided by the interaction between these two. So we have this kind of relationship which is very much essential for all kinds of physical, physiological activities. And then there is a question, how and when this will start manifesting. So right in the intrauterine life, from the maternal gut microbiota, the microbes will be transmitted to the fetus via placenta. Later, it is also influenced by the mode of delivery. Why? Because through the normal vaginal delivery, the child gets diverse diverse microbes than in the cesarean section. It also influences the various kinds of physiological activity done by the mother to the child. And it gets influenced also after the birth of the child. The feeding, the geographical location, family members, host interaction, maternal diet, as well as weaning are all responsible for various presentations of gut microbiota. And here, that's what we say, the Masanumasika Garbhini Paricharya, which is required for the mother. Why? Because different food at different stages influence gut flora, as well as the gut flora will be transmitted from the mother to the child. So when the food gets influenced, or when gut flora gets nourished by these diet, the same healthy microbiota may get transmitted to the child, and child may be healthy. And at the same time, they have also explained about the Garbhopagata Bhava, and through which the Janmabala Pravritta Vyadhi can be manifested. And all this can happen because of dysbiosis and bad gut microbiota getting transmitted from the mother to the child. The loss of contact with outdoor associated natural beneficial microbiota indirectly affects the human gut microbiome and may have negative consequences on human health. Our ancestors were in close contact with soil due to their lifestyle, that is practicing agriculture, animal husbandry, and all that. Research documents that children encountering early contact with environment that are less hygienic, such as outdoor settings and farms, are less susceptible to develop autoimmune diseases. This is supported by hygiene hypothesis, which suggests that environments with rich microbial diversity protect against allergies and autoimmune disorder. See, nowadays parents are overprotective towards their children. So they grow children in a very, very sterile atmosphere, which is actually not good. Allow them to play in mud. Let them drench in rain. Let them get exposed to sun. Let them play with pet. Let them exposed to wide diverse of microbes and get adapted to it. So gut microbiome needs diet, external factors, and natural forces like wind, sunlight, vegetation, and interaction with microbes of external ecosystem. Our internal ecosystem should interact with external ecosystem. That's why how much Ayurveda has focused on ahara, equal importance is given to vihara, vyayama, dinacharya, rutucharya, Sadvritta, Yana, Gamana, and Karaprachitiya Rasayana. Interestingly, under Karaprachitiya Rasayana, it has been explained that the health seeker should walk barefooted in the forest of Amalaki Vana. So pluck Amalaki Phala in his own hands and he has to consume it right there. Why is that so? Why they were so particular that the individual himself has to walk through the forest and pluck Amalaki Phala? Is it to get exposed to natural forces, to enhance the microbiome, or have a good interaction between external ecosystem with that of an internal ecosystem? Definitely possible. Along with that, the practices like Vanaprastha, Surya Darshana, Chandra Darshana are all told in Shodasha Samskaras to have interaction with the nature. So now here, stress can affect gut flora. The dysbiosis of the gut flora also can cause unnecessary stress. So what I mean to say is the person can get stressed because of external factors like incidents that has happened to him or her. Say, for example, financial loss, demise of the closed ones can bring about emotional breakdown or psychological stress. Because of this, there can be dysbiosis in the gut microbiome. Or sometimes without these causes, gut microbiome can cause dysbiosis and give stress to the mind. Now, how shall we know what is the cause of stress? Is it the external causes or is it the internal causes that gives stress to an individual? Well, talking to a person and taking history will help you. If there is any history of any, so just now I told the reason, so loss of dear ones or something like that. So if that cause is not there, everything is fine, and for no reason the person is getting stressed, no sleep, worrying for silly reasons, overthinking. So all this is because of dysbiosis, and that can cause conditions like atatvabhinimesha as well as unmada. And we have chikitsa for unmada and also manovikaras in the form of grita sevana or gritapana, which can pacify the events that are happening in the gut. So even though there is psychological disruption, there is chikitsa via oral administration of medicine to correct the gut microbiota. So let us have increased, or let us have diverse microbes to have better health. The diet-derived microbial metabolites will be transported to different organs. Say, for example, even though the gut produces everything, sometimes there may be production of excess fat, and they will be carried and they get attached to the walls of the blood vessels. The mucus can be produced in the stomach and they can be carried to the lungs, and in the lungs they may get accumulated to cause kasashwasa. Pigmentations can happen in the skin. Uroliths may be produced from the gut, but they'll be carried to the kidney and kidney stones will manifest there. Eyes can have cataracts. Tau proteins or amyloid plaque may get accumulated and they may destroy the nerves, causing Alzheimer's disease. What I mean to say is all those chemical toxins are produced as a byproduct of the dysbiosis that has happened in the gut. From the gut, they will be carried to different parts, they get accumulated there, and then they produce a disease. Say, for example, the Dushta doshas may be produced in the Koshta. From there, it will be transmitted to the Hridaya and cause Hridroga. They may also go to the blood vessels to cause atherosclerosis, and likewise. The doshas from the gut may go to the Yakrit and cause Yakrit Vikara. So whatever it is, as Sushruta said, Kupitanagni doshanam sharire paridavataha, we'll come to that shloka where the dosha dushti happens somewhere in the amashaya, and then from there it will be transmitted to the place where the secondary causes or the triggering causes will make them to lodge there. So here, the impact of dysbiosis is in this way. So where there is an imbalance in the microbe structure that results from abnormal ratio of commensals and pathogenic bacterial species. There is growing evidence that dysbiosis of the gut microbiota is associated with the pathogenesis of both intestinal and extra-intestinal disorders. Intestinal disorders include inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, celiac disease, as well as extra-intestinal disorders like allergy, asthma, metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and obesity. Now, this is the reason why we go for Vamana or Virechana kind of Shodhana for the removal of Ama or Sanchita dosha, the xenobiotics or microbial metabolites that are produced from the interaction between diet as well as the gut microbiome. In many of these conditions, the mechanisms leading to disease development involves the pivotal mutualistic relationship between colonic microbiota, their metabolic products, and host immune system. So this is a tripod: colonic microbiota, their metabolic products in the form of AMA, and how the host immune system is reactive to it. The establishment of a healthy relationship early in life appears to be critical to maintaining the intestinal homeostasis. It also performs an essential metabolic function, acting as a source of essential nutrients and vitamins and aiding in the extraction of energy. Yes, the extraction of energy and nutrients, such as short-chain fatty acids and amino acids from the food. This is nothing but extraction of sara from the ahara with the help of samanavata. Ultimately, the host depends on its intestinal microbiota for a number of vital functions, and thus the intestinal microbiota may contribute to health. So here we talk about physiological conditions of various kinds of interactions. Now, in what way the physical actions will influence? Let us see here. So here you can see that it is not just important to have healthy food. No, there are certain intricacies for disease manifestation where there is a role of microbes between food, physical activity, and environmental factors. It is not just enough for you to have good food or good probiotics, or just cultivating good bacteria is definitely not enough. Exercise is essential because good physical workout will increase 1 degree of core temperature. This 1 degree of rise in core temperature because of exercise will ignite activity of gut microbiota. This is nothing but Agni Dipana, or enhancement of Agni in the Kaya. Alterations in the microbiota can result from exposure to various environmental factors. But moreover, whenever the person is sedentary or not doing much of physical exercise, the dysbiosis is bound to happen. By doing physical exercise, what happens is there will be a muscle activity, and because of this, there is an interaction between the gut as well as the muscle, calling it as muscle-gut axis. And because of this, the gut-brain axis still continues to end the circle. Now, once the person is physically active, there will be eubiosis status by increasing alpha diversity and increasing short-chain fatty acids. So, the diet, environmental factors, as well as physical exercise is must for a healthy gut. Alterations in all those microbiota can happen because of diet, toxin, drugs, as well as pathogens. Of these, enteric pathogens have the greatest potential to cause microbial dysbiosis. Foodborne vital pathogens can trigger both local and systemic inflammation, altering the composition of microbiota and barrier function as mechanism for developing autoimmunity. Food components that escape digestion in the small intestine, as well as endogenous compounds such as digestive enzymes and shed epithelial cells and associated mucus, they enter the colon and become available for fermentation by colonic microbiota. And this fermentation, if it is in the physiological limit, yes, it yields nourishment. If not, Shuk Tattva, Amlatva will be produced, which results in the formation of Ama. Bacterial conversion of these compounds results in wide variety of metabolites that are in close contact with the host cell. In this way, these metabolites can affect metabolic phenotype of host and influence the risk of disease. Now, what are the functions of gut bacteria? The relationship between some gut flora and humans is not merely commensal, but rather mutualistic relationship. We need them, they need us. So, some microorganisms benefit the host by fermenting diet fiber into short-chain fatty acids, I just told now, such as acetic acid and butyric acid, which are then absorbed by the host. Intestinal bacteria also play a role in synthesizing vitamin B and vitamin K, as well as metabolizing bile acids, sterols, and xenobiotics. Once again, you again need this gut microbe to cure or to cause pachana of ama, because I just said, or I just correlated ama to that of xenobiotics. Direct defense against pathogens, fortification of host defense, and metabolizing otherwise indigestible compounds in the food, role in training the developing immune system is done by gut bacteria, because there are some elements in the food which our digestive enzymes cannot digest. We really need the help of gut microbiome to digest them. The human immune system creates cytokines that can drive the immune system to produce inflammation in order to protect self, and that can tamp down the immune response to maintain homeostasis and allow healing after the insult or injury. The activation or inactivation of bioactive food components such as isoflavonoids and plant lignans, the conversion of prodrugs and their bioactive forms are all done by gut microbiome. The aushadha that we consume are again metabolized by this gut microbiome, or we give aushadha to this gut microbiome and we enhance the capacity of gut microbiome, and this gut microbiome will do the work of healing and fighting. And also the process of rasayana by nourishing all the saptadhatus. Why? Because when all the saptadhatus are nourished, ojas is being produced, and this ojas gives you immunity. Fermentation of these substrates results in the production of a range of metabolites, including short-chain fatty acid, branched-chain fatty acids, ammonia, amines, phenolic compounds, and gases, including hydrogen, methane, and hydrogen sulfide. So all these are physiologically produced apanavata. So dysbiosis can produce toxic gas. So these are the normal gases, but dysbiosis can produce toxic gases, or over accumulation of gases forming anaha, admana, atopa. The daurgandhya produced by putrefaction of metabolites can be found in flatulences. Maladurgandha, sweda durgandha, vayu or nishwasa durgandha is an indication that dysbiosis has just happened. This flatulence is anilamudata, also with daurgandha is the lakshana of ama. Anaha, Admana, Atopa, along with Durgandha, the next event happening is accumulation of ama. That is what we call it as dosha sanchaya. So the indication that accumulation of ama has happened, how it is been expressed? It is expressed by gut microbiome by not showing appetite. So there will be aruchi or loss of appetite. So functional disarrangement begins now onwards. There are two things happening before the disease. One is structural impairment, later the functional impairment. So once the functional impairment begins, the pathology continues, the symptoms are produced, and disease will be happening. Apart from this, without gut flora, the human body would be unable to utilize some of the undigested carbohydrates. So otherwise, if these undigested carbohydrates remain, then we call it as ajirna. Fortunately, this gut microbiome will digest this undigested carbohydrates when our digestive enzyme cannot digest. So undigested carbohydrates it consumes because of some types of gut flora have some enzymes that human cells lack for breaking down certain polysaccharides. So this is nothing but Dhatvagni getting ignited by our gut flora. Carbohydrates that humans cannot digest without bacterial help include certain starch, fibers, oligosaccharides, sugars that body fail to digest and absorb, like lactose, sugar alcohols, mucus, and few proteins are all finally digested by gut microbiome. So thus, these bacteria turn all those carbohydrates, they ferment to short-chain fatty acids and form a fermentation called saccharolytic fermentation. So the products include acetic acid, propionic acid, butyric acid. That's why I have told just now. These material can be used by the host cells, providing major source of energy and nutrients. So source of energy and nutrients. So this is nothing but sara getting extracted from ahara, the sara doing dhatu poshana, and finally the dhatu poshana giving bala, energy. The gases which are involving in signaling and that may cause flatulence, which that are organic acids such as lactic acid, also provided by the fermentation. Acetic acid is brought about by the muscle, propionic I have just told now, and all that which is required to provide energy is nothing but the one which is giving urja as well as utsaha derived from Agni. There is considerable potential for interaction between drugs as well as individuals' microbiome. The medicines that we take interacts with the gut microbiome, and their response gives the medical effect to an individual. Now, how this gut microbiome gets developed? In humans, a gut flora similar to an adult's is formed within 2 years of the birth. As the gut flora gets established, the lining of the intestine, the intestinal epithelium, and the intestinal mucosal barrier that it secretes are all getting developed there. So when they develop, they get tolerant to it, even supportive to all the physiological activities as well as defense mechanisms that are happening. Commensalistic microorganisms to a certain extent also provides a barrier to the pathogenic ones. So the first and foremost thing what it does is it creates a barrier. Specifically, the goblet cells that produces mucosa proliferate and the mucosal layer that thickens later. So they are the one which does that provision to survival or the surveillance of the friendly microorganisms. Yeah, this is nothing but Kledaka kapha that nourishes and protects the gut microbiome to perform its normal function. Additionally, the development of gut-associated lymphoid tissue, what we call it as GARD, which forms a part of intestinal epithelium and which detects the reaction to pathogens, appears and develops during the time that gut flora develops and established. Well, now, how gut microbiome makes the immune system? The human immune system creates cytokines that can drive the immune system to produce inflammation in order to protect itself. Yes, this is the first thing. Different bacterial species that appear in gut have been shown to be able to drive the immune system to create cytokines selectively. And here, one of this function is to regulate, for the regulation is to produce NFKB. Now, what is this? What is NFKB? So this is a nuclear factor kappa light chain. It enhances the activation of B cells. It is a protein complex that stimulates antibody production. The nuclear factor kappa light chain plays a role in mediating induction of various pro-inflammatory genes in innate immune cells. Now, what is that innate immune cells or innate immunity? This is nothing but Sahaja Bala. The Sahaja Bala, which complements the body, and it has been complemented by Apara Ojas. You have two types of ojas, para as well as apara, the one which is in the hridaya and another one which is circulating, the one which is sarvadahika. So we can correlate this with that. IgA is an important type of antibody that is caused in the mucosal environments like the gut. It has been shown that IgA can help diversify the gut community. So more diverse is your gut community, more it has capacity to fight against various kinds of pathogens. So you need many types of microbes to kill many types of pathogens. Ultimately, IgA maintains a healthy environment between the host and gut bacteria. These cytokines and antibodies can have effects outside the gut in the lungs and other tissues. This is nothing but Agni giving Bala, Oja, Teja, as well as Vyadikshamatva. The lung and other tissues will be, by this, the lung as well as other tissues will be getting the enhancement in their vital capacity. The vital capacity of the lung will be enhanced. This provides endurance for Utsaha. Now, that is the relevance of Shodhana in Shwasa. Many of you may be wondering why in Shwasa, when you have a problem inside the airways, why you give medicine to cleanse the gut. And while giving also, at the outright, we will not give Shodhana. We will start with Agnidipana to activate this gut microbiome. Snehapana is done to extract the accumulated toxins because these toxins are in non-absorbable and non-reactive form. They should undergo biotransformation. They are all hydrophobic, that is non-water soluble. Hence, they are not excreted by kidneys. These non-water soluble toxins only respond to fats, and that is why we have Snehapana, so that these hydrophobic or lipophilic toxins are biotransformed into hydrophilic or water-soluble compounds. With the help of Svedana, they are converted into hydrophilic compounds and brought to Koshta. Then with Vamana or Virechana Dravyas, finally, biotransformed toxins are eliminated out through Shodhana, and gut becomes free from toxins that are biologically produced due to dysbiosis of microbiota. The toxins that reach the lung and that which produces Shwasa is no more present in the body, and now patient will breathe easily. So this is how it works. Now, in what way the use of antibiotics will destroy the gut microbiota? Taking broad spectrum antibiotics may affect host health and ability to digest food by altering the number of gut bacteria. Antibiotics can cause antibiotic associated diarrhea by irritating the bowel directly, changing the overall levels of microbiota or allowing pathogenic bacteria to grow. Increase in number of antibiotic resistant bacteria after their use, which when they invade the host causes illness that are difficult to treat with antibiotics later on. Changing the number and species of the gut microbiota can reduce body's ability to ferment carbohydrates and metabolize bile acids and may cause diarrhea. Carbohydrates that are not broken down may absorb too much water and cause runny stools, or lack short chain fatty acids and produce gut microbiota could cause diarrhea. A reduction in level of native bacterial species also disrupts their ability to inhibit the growth of harmful species. The composition of gut microbiome also changes in severe illness due to not only due to antibiotic use, but also such factors like ischemia of the gut, failure to eat, and immune compromise. This is nothing but Vyadhi Karshana causing Agnimandya as well as Dhatupaka. So here, just to tell one more interesting factor. How long does the microbiota stay with you? And what are other mysterious activities done by the microbes to your body? Why? Because carrying the microbes from mother to the child is just not for the sake of physiological aspects. As long as the microbes are in the body of the mother, it also accumulates the memory that the mother has experienced. Now, when this microbe enters the child's body, the child also can sense the same memory or the experience that the mother has faced, even without experiencing by herself or by the child by itself. So, carrying from mother to child, the gut bacteria can be inherited or transmitted. So, the memory, deep memory, mysterious experiences, just like we say in the form of smriti or swapna or buddhi, including the instincts, are felt by the gut bacteria. The child may remember some things which the mother has experienced, even the mother has not told about the child. So this is because the transmission of memory that is recorded in the microbes will be coming from the mother to the child, and such kinds of things can happen where we sometimes come across unmada, especially pitraja unmada, where the host behaves like someone who was existing before in the ancestor lineage. So here, the mother to the child, and not only that, if that microbe's intensity is high, it can also cause pitraja unmada because it is been already transmitted from the person who has already experienced and to the person who has not at all experienced this. So this kind of paranormal behavior, extra-human behavior, and some sort of psychological manifestations are being reported as an activity of gut microbiome. So in Ayurveda, for diseases of manovikaras, maybe in the form of vishada, atatva binimesha, unmada, apasmara, the Gritapana is said to be the line of treatment so as to condition the gut microbiome or pacify them. So I would like to conclude the presentation by saying that the gut microbiome can be doshas performing various kinds of transmittary activities or transportation activities like vata, transformation or metabolic activities like pitta, anabolic and protective mechanisms like kapha. Gut microbiome can be agni, where it ignites, catabolizes, breaks down, destroys, and just continues with those kinds of activities. Gut microbiome as ojas providing immunity, utsaha as well as vyadikshamatva. Gut microbiome can be the sthana of manas. We have different references for the sthana of manas, and there has been a big debate amongst our acharyas. Some say that manas is situated in the shiras, some say the manas is situated in the hridaya, and also some say manas is situated in nabi. Some say manas is situated in every cell of the body or throughout the body. So one reference can say it can be in gut microbiome because our gut do give us some instincts, do give us some expressions like goosebumps and all whenever we are excited. The gut microbiome and infection, yes, whenever our immune system is being disrupted by dysbiosis, only then pathogenic bacteria can invade us and produce infection. Sleep and microbiome. Yes, why? Because we require sleep, because sleep is a refractory phase, revitalizing and recharging phase for microbiome. Also the phase of reproduction of cells in the body. Reproduction of good gut bacteria is required for the continuity of the health. What all good bacteria are there in the body, they also should undergo reproduction. So for all that, you require a good quality of sleep. So today's day, we don't pay much importance to sleep. I see that a lot of people stay awake at night. Maybe they are working. I really don't know what, but this definitely influences the health of the gut microbiome. And I request all of you to stop it and have a good quantity or proportion of sleep. For this, there is a need of influence of Shukra Dhatu, because reproduction of cell is brought about by Shukra Dhatu. So you have two types of Shukra, Sthanika Shukra as well as Sarvadaika Shukra. Sthanika Shukra may be related to sexual reproduction with the gonads or reproductive organs of the host, whereas Sarvadaika Shukra may bring about cellular reproduction. For this, the Kapha dosha is also required. So this Shukra Dhatu is a reproductive tissue which brings about reproduction of gut microbiome. Then Aushadha, Anupana and gut microbiome. We all know that Punarnava Mandura has to be taken with Takra, because in the presence of Takra, the probiotics get enhanced and they take the derivatives of Punarnava Mandura and produce Rakta Dhatu. Similarly, Sitopala is taken with honey. And again, in all the Vata Vikaras or neurological disorders, the medicines has to be given in the form of Sneha, because we require fatty acids to reach the target cells. These gut bacteria will carry them. Therefore, in Ayurveda, all the medicines will reach the gut, maybe through oral route or maybe through basti. They will reach the gut and enhance the gut microbiome, and only then the processing happens with microbiota and it will reach the target cells. And unfortunately, we have a lot of microbes in our gut which are endangered. The microbes that were present in those days may not be present today. So that's why the health and endurance what was there 100 years ago may not be the same today, because these microbes have undergone mutation, or maybe those microbes have been endangered or extinct. So that's why we are finding new diseases now. Unfortunately, there are some medicinal plants that are endangered. There are some medicinal plants that can enhance the gut microbiome. So in one side, the gut microbiome, some of the species are endangered. On the other side, the plants that enhance the microbiome also are getting endangered. This is really bad. Then climate change. So we all know that there are a lot of microorganisms that are hidden inside the glacier, deep down the glacier. The melting down of this ice glacier can cause this organism to get exposed. And these microorganisms are totally unaware to the human body, or our gut microbiome is totally unaware. That's why our gut microbiome don't know how to react or fight with this novel virus that are coming out from the climate change. And yes, so lifestyle including sleep, diet, of course, I had just told now having psychological conflicts, stress, all will induce the dysbiosis of the gut microbiome. Ultimately, fighting and destruction is not the remedy. It is not possible for us to destroy microorganisms at all. They are large, they are humongous, they are one world by themselves. So it is better to go with a symbiotic living, make friends with them, and have a symbiotic understanding, mutualistic understanding, adapt our body to their way of life, and then avoid dysbiosis. And apart from that, we can have plant endophytes. We can cultivate microorganisms in the plants, and then from these plant endophytes, we can destroy the pathogenic organisms that are present inside the body. Why? Because plant endophytes can be Stavara Mula, and human gut microbiome is a Jangama Mula, which can be definitely contradicting for its destruction. With this, I would like to conclude by saying that the brain analyzes, follow your brain to be wise. The heart emotes, follow your heart to express. But the gut always gives you the real instinct, follow your gut for health. I thank the organizers for this opportunity, and I conclude my session with this note. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for taking your time to prepare for us such an informative session, ma'am. Delegates, please post your questions in the chat box and kindly wait till the end of today's session, as we move on to the question and answer session only at the end of today's session. Next, as it is said, the best ideas emerge when very different perspectives meet. Delegates, our session is next to be continued by our guest speaker, Dr. Niranjan Rao, on the very same topic, Kayagni and its all-pervasive, a new perspective with gut microbiome. Before moving into the session, it's my great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Niranjan Rao. Sir has completed his UG in SDM Ayurveda College and Hospital Udupi. He was a topper in the entire curriculum and completed his graduation with top academic caliber. He did his post-graduation in Kayagni at Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar. He started his professional career in his alma mater, SDM Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital Udupi, as assistant professor in the Department of Kayagni and also consultant Panchakarma specialist. Decorating the post of associate professor and professor, Dr. Niranjan Rao is the head of the Department of Panchakarma and Dean of PG Studies. He is known as the most efficient and busiest Ayurvedic physician in Udupi. Being mentor and guide, Dr. Niranjan Rao has enlightened hundreds of students with his knowledge, experience, passion, and perseverance. He has set his benchmark by conducting monumental research in Vajigarana. With this pursuit of excellence, he has spoken in vital forums of Ayurveda, and his deliberations as well as keynote played vital role in understanding concepts of Ayurveda in new perspective. His passion for clinical practice and teaching made him recognized as an icon of Ayurveda fraternity. It's an honor to have you here, sir. Now, without any delay, let me hand over the session to you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. वागर्थाविव संप्रक्तो वागर्थ प्रतिपत्ते जगतः पितरो वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरो भासा कुन्देन्दु शङ्कर स्फटिकमणे भासमाना समाना सामे वाग्देवते निवसतु मे वदने सर्वदा प्रसन्न. Good evening to one and all, and I think I am audible enough.
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay. A nice topic about biome. A nice topic to biome related with the whole body. Few years back, we heard certain things related with blood-brain biome. Today, the whole thing is related with the biome in human perspective. It reminds we people about a novel concept, Yat Pinde Tat Brahmande. Whatever seen in the universe, you may see such things in the miniature way in the whole body. In other words to say, whatever we are trying to see, whatever we are trying to identify in the external universe, we are trying it in our body. That's why a concept of Lokapurusha Samyavada came into existence in the treatment perspective also. When we are talking about this Kayagni, its whole body involvement, all pervasive nature, we are required to think in different other ways also. I want to draw you people's attention towards understanding the Samhita. We should not simply talk on Kayagni and its all-pervasive nature. There are many other things to consider. For example, in Charaka Samhita, Beshaja Chatushka is considered. The Beshaja Chatushka here refers to things related with the medicinal plants or the medicines which are required for the purpose of treatment throughout the Samhitas, hither and thither. It means that the things which are mentioned in the Beshaja Chatushka are seen elsewhere also. There may be further additions, but these are also seen everywhere. For example, one Dashayamani, which is considered as Shofahara, which is exclusively compressing Dashamula, may be seen in different parts of the Samhitas, in different treatment protocols, either as single drug, or as Dashamula, or as Lagu, or Brihat Panchamula, and so on. You may see Swayatuhara Dashayamani, you may see something like that of the Kamsaharitaki ingredients, major ingredients, almost. You are astonished to see Dashamula in the chapter of Grahani as well as in the chapter of Vatavyadi, in the chapter of Swayathu at the shore. All such things are suggestive of in the Samhitas. Different kinds of things are sparsely seen in the Samhitas in a discrete manner. We have to think one more thing here. Whatever today we are having, that type of discrimination of the things were not there. This is my pretext. For example, different animals are identified, different birds are identified, Mamsa Varga, in Sutrasthana, we will get all the information. We are having the information of Shaka Varga, we are having Matrashiti Adhyaya, we are having Tasyashiti Adhyaya, we are having Kratanna Varga. Everything is related with the Ahara, but they are not elaborated in one particular area. When we are talking about the diseases also, Vatarakta is not simply gouty arthritis. All collagen vascular set of diseases. We may identify the Sojourn syndrome, we may identify the SLEs, we may identify the rheumatoid arthritis, we may identify some systemic sclerosis, everything in that chapter only. It is a possibility. Collagen vascular disease. In the same way, bleeding disorders are also identified in case of Raktapita. It's many. Or all the sets related to the neurological disorders also we may consider in the same chapter. Why I am telling about such things? The thing is related with disease. Thing is related with the identification of the Nidana. Thing is related with the treatment protocol with the Pathya. These are identified in its own manner in the Samhitas according to the concept of Dosha, Dhatu and Maha. Today, what the organizers called to talk about such things is about the gut microbiome. When we are talking about the gut microbiome, we should not restrict our things related with only about the Mahasrotas. Mahasrotas predominantly right from the stomach till the anal canal. We have to consider relationship between anal canal to that of the gut, spinal canal to that of the gut, CNS to that of the gut, musculoskeletal system to that of the gut. Then only today's deliberations are successful. What Nisha madam talked till now is interesting. Identifying the relationship of many things apart from the GIT till the Shukradhatu she discussed. It is one of the important aspects. What Kayagni is all pervasive throughout the body. Lot of things have to be discussed now. With the time restraint and constraint, I will just put up the things and leave the things to you people to think about it. I am just hitting and running from the topic, but lot of things has to be discussed on this one. Let us talk about certain things like Krimi. Shastra says lot of things about the Krimi. It may be Krimi, Parisarpati or Kramati. We are having the Krimi concept in the Radroga. We are having the Krimi concept even in the Shiras. But basically, it has a link with the gut. Just I will put one simple thing. The treatment given towards the Krimi is helpful in reducing the psoriatic symptoms. One novel prescription quoted in the textbook Krimi Vikara Kasha in the Nigantu period is a novel prescription for the treatment of atopic dermatitis or the psoriasis. The relation is here gut. Already few things are identified in the previous Dr. Nisha's slides. That relation is related with the gut as well as the skin. Ayurveda believes Tvak and Rasadhatu having certain relationship. And we are treating Rasadhatu, Rasadhatvagni, and by the way, next dhatu, subsequent dhatu, that is Rakta. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah, your voice is clear to us. I think the whoever asking, she may be having some problem with her connection.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Pranam. The things are related with again Rasa and Rakta dhatu. When we are treating the Rasa, subsequent dhatu is Rakta is going to be clear. Hence, a treatment aimed at Krimi is also treatment aimed at Rakta and absolute Rasa dhatu. In the same way, about when we are talking about the acute and chronic manifestations, for example, Ajirana, Avipaka, Aruchi, and so on. It may be acute or it may be chronic. For example, a person might have had sumptuous lunch. By evening, he may be developing something like that of reduced appetite, indigestion, flatulence, like this. It is acute manifestation. On the contrary, a patient who is having some chronic avipaka, aruchi, ajirana, klama, etc., may be possessed with one or other carcinomatous changes. Here, when we are thinking from the point of that biome, we have to accept that one acute manifestation is entirely different and treatment should be different. Or else we may consider one more aspect. A person who is having irritable bowel disease, a person who is possessed with colitis may have this subacute type of loss of appetite. That is different. That biome treatment is different. For example, the person who had the sumptuous lunch may require one absolute fasting, langhana, that may be sufficient to bring back him to on his routine. Whereas a person who is having subacute thing may require certain things like Chitrakadivati, Chitrakasava, Panchapola Panta, Shunti Kashaya, Shunti Churna, like so on, Pachana and Deepak. Whereas a person who is possessed with some carcinomatous changes, maybe in the stomach, maybe in the large intestine or somewhere else in the sigmoid colon, later part, he may require entirely different line of treatment for his loss of appetite. Because here the biome, what we are talking is entirely different from the point of Ayurveda perspective. That's what identified in Dr. Nisha's slide somewhere, related with the phenomenon pertaining to metabolism of carbohydrate, fat and protein. Amam anna vishancha kechittu malashanchayam prathama dosha dushtimcha. The person who had sumptuous lunch may be having the prathama dosha dushti. The person who is possessed with some amount of irritable bowel disease may be possessed with annavisha concept, and so on. It is going to be changed. Amadosha is amadosha, ama is ama, but as per the sthana, as per the dosha, whole thing is going to be changed with the treatment perspective. That's why in Ayurveda they talked about ama, they talked about annavisha, they talked about samadosha, maybe samavata, samapitta, samakapha, which is mentioned and actually which is elaborated in Trivida Kshiya Vimanasthana of Charaka Samhita. Or Malasanjay. Something about the throwing mechanism is highlighted in previous slides by Dr. Nishan. That's actually about the Malasanjay. We are talking about the Srotoroda Balabramsha in the features pertaining to Ama. Srotoroda Balabramsha are not the overnight phenomena. Srotoroda is one of the phenomena which may be seen throughout the period, and ultimately it is ending into one particular Srotas, where the Srotas is having the Kavaigunya and the disease process is going to be hastened, and this is the phenomenon. Hence, when there is Mandagni, what Kayagni, whole body pervasiveness we are talking, is related with the Bhutagni and Dhatwagni also. It is not mere theory. When we are talking about the Bhutagni and Dhatwagni, it is not mere theory. It is actually the perspective pertaining to the disease. I will give you one clinical example, then we will realize the thing. A person who is having the chronic rheumatoid arthritis, maybe 1 year or 2 year old, having certain amount of deformity in his fingers as well as toes. Deviation of the toes, spindle toes may be seen. When we are prescribing Chaushashta Prahara Pripali, patient's pain, stiffness as well as morning stiffness is going to be reduced. It is because of the involvement of the Dhatu. Dhatvagni is involved. It is not the 7 days concept. It is the concept related with the Dhatvagni and to some extent Bhutagni. Ultimately, the symptoms are reduced. And here, all pervasive nature of the Kayagni is considered. Vagbhata mentioned about this one. This Kayagni influences the remaining 2 types of Agnis, Bhutagni and Dhatvagni, and ultimately it is the controller. Hence, by the way, when we are treating the Kayagni with the Chaushashta Prahara Pippali, remaining 2 Agnis are slowly coming to the track. This is one example, clinical example I want to highlight. While talking about this one, Dr. Nisha highlighted certain things about the Bala. We Ayurveda people must always thought about this concept of Bala in a serious way. Bala and Ojas are 2 important things. When we are talking about the Bala, even Sushruta Samhita's concept in quoted in Sutrasthana is important. There, Bala with respect to particular Dhatu, how it is going to helpful in the treatment, it is having the tacit direction for the physician. For example, I'll tell you right now, when we are talking about Agni, Agni is having one more suffix, Agni Bala. In case of the old age, the features of old age is related to retardation of the Agni. There are many things. There, deterioration of the status of the Agni is mentioned and leading to deterioration of other Bala. Because of the all-pervasive nature, whatever we are talking, that is reflected in the old age person. Clinically, if we want to identify, as the age advances, according to Sharmadara also, there will be decade-wise degeneration, and that decade-wise degeneration is highlighted in the form of Agni also. Each decade there will be deterioration. For example, first 10 years, he talked about Balya. Balya means Saukumarya, suppleness of the child is actually gone. Likewise, he identified each and everything according to 10 years. Agni Bala is going to be denigrated. Agni Bala is going to be reduced. In the same way, Ojas concept we have to consider. We will take the example of old age only. Opportunistic infections are more in the old age. It is common thing. Why? Immediately we are talking because its Ojas is reduced. Immunological things are compromised, like we are talking. When we are seeing the concept related with the Dhatu Pakakrama, from Ahara Rasa to that of the Shukra and Ojas. Ojas is the ultimate thing. Formation of each Dhatu, right from the Ahara Rasa Dhatu, again Sara and Kita Bhaga, and from Sara Dhatu, each one, Rasa, Rakta, Mansa, Asti, Majja, Shukra, and finally Ojas. Proper Dhattvagni is required. If the proper Dhattvagni is not there in such a situation, patient may end up with certain deformities at each Dhatu level. Maybe a person who is having the problem with the Rakta and Mamsa Dhatu, he may or that child may develop with a certain amount of things pertaining to musculoskeletal disorders. A person who is having the problem at the level of the Majja or the Asti may be the prey for different types of musculoskeletal disorders. A person who is having the problem with the Majja may develop the problem, even in the Shukra Dhatu Agni, may develop some fertility problems as well as sexual inadequacies. What it is suggestive of, right from the Rasa, Ahara Rasa to Rasa, Rasa to Shukra, and finally Ojas, Agni Bala is not correct. If Agni Bala is not correct, it will pave the way for certain deformities in each dhatu. Hence, formation of the proper Ojo Bala is also dependent upon one entity, that is Agni. Hence, Agni is not only related with the stomach or Jatara, Agni is related with the whole body. That's why one more concept related with the Vata and Shleshma we have to consider. Vayur Ayur Balam Vayuhu. This is the novel concept quoted in Charaka Chikitsa, Vata Vyadhi Chikitsa Dhyaya. Vayuhu Ayu, Vayuhu Ayu, Vayur Ayu. Vayur Ayur Balam Vayuhu. Vata itself Bala, Vata itself Ayu. At this juncture, we have to consider the concept related with such a type of Agni. Vidvata Kalakaliya Dhyayam Sutrasthana. In Sutrasthana, while talking about Lokavayu and Sharira Vayu, while talking about the Prakupita Vayu as well as Samanya Vayu inside the body and in Loka, they identified different functions pertaining to Vata dosha. For example, Vayus Tantra Yantradaraha. There only the tissue metabolism is highlighted. Tissue metabolism right from the normal period of the human being till the or towards the Bhruna also identified. Stulanu Srotasam Bhetta is the term identified by Charaka, which is applicable to Bhrunavastha as well as later time also. Maybe normal physiology we may consider. If the normal physiology is deranged, Stulanu Srotasam Bhetta, if not properly followed, the human body is going to be having certain deformities. For example, when we are talking about the different kinds of leukemia, that is Stulana Srotasam Bheta phenomenon itself not proper. One may object here. I will give one clinical example. In Granthi Visarpa, he stated Utsanna Raktasya Charaka. Chakrapani commented Vradha Raktasya, Utsanna Raktasya, Vradha Raktasya. When we are talking about different kinds of leukemias, the same thing is happened. That Stulana Srotasam Bheta happened, but it is in the not normal way. It is the abnormal way. This is one example. Or we may think about different kinds of cysts, dermoid cysts. It is also the same thing. The normalcy is not maintained. Normal physiology is not maintained. Remaining things are identified. That is the most important thing we have to consider. So, mentioned concept in the Vatakala Kaliya Adhyaya related with the normal physiological things pertaining to the division, cell division is applicable even in case of Vayu, Rayu, Balam, Vayu, because Vayu, Ayu means it is the normalcy he is talking. That normalcy is achieved by normal physiology. This is one example. Lot of things may be identified here. And here this Vayu, Rayu, Balam, Vayu, I'll put one clinical example previously. A person who is possessed with motor neuron disease is having the gut relationship, Kayagni, whole body pervasiveness. This is what I want to talk. Whole body pervasiveness, motor neuron disease. Patient is having absolute phenomena of motor neuron disease. It is nothing but neurological deficit. When we unearth the history, this fellow is having Grani dosha and ultimately ended up with Grani roga, Savata Gulma Radroga, Pliyashanki Chamanama. What Dr. Nisha identified certain things related with the gut as well as the CNS. Treatment also is the same thing. When we are giving the basti, Picha basti, that is most important thing. Patient was treated on the lines of Picha basti, he became normal. What happened? Picha basti triggered the formation of the serotonin properly, and ultimately this serotonin actually entered into CNS, and ultimately the patient is getting the relief from the symptoms of the motor neuron disease. It is not the 1 week follow-up or 1 month follow-up. It's a matter of a few years follow-up. Till now also patient is having the normalcy. Why I am highlighting this one is that is the nature of all pervasiveness nature of the Kayagni. We never treated the patient on the lines of Vata Vyadhi as such directly. We treated the patient on the basis of the Grani dosha and Grani roga, which is something like that of the treatment of the Agni. That's why in definition of the Kayaji is the Agni is important. Kaya means here Agni is important. There are certain other examples also we may quote relationship of the gut to that of the remaining parts of the body. There is a novel concept in Ayurveda by 11th century. That is nothing but the Parpati. When we are talking about the Parpati is nothing but the Balavardhana Chikitsa, Avayo Balavarka Chikitsa. This word is Avayo Baladhara Chikitsa is the later term. Balavardhana, Grani Balavardhana Chikitsa term given by Charaka. What he identified in his Grani Chikitsa Adhyaya are nothing but a different types of ksharas, 4 or 5 ksharas are identified, right from the Bunimbadi kshara, etc. And there is one pratha or the process wherein slow increase, just like in case of the Rasayana Adhyaya, what he identified, there is slow increase of the Parpati. Slow increase of the Parpati milligram wise it is increased, 60, 120, like this one, or 120, 250, 500 milligrams, like, and again it is a Vardhamana Krama and a decrease Krama, which is having a base in case of Charaka Chikisasthana, Rasayana Adhyaya, where in different Vardhamana Pippali, Vallataka are identified. So basically it is nothing but Rasayana. Why I want to highlight about this one is Rasayana Chikitsa is one of the important component. in the treatment of gut disorders as well as disorders related with gut plus other systems. Vardhamana Pipali, Vardhamana is slow increase, it is one. In the same way, when we are talking about the gut microbiome, Dr. Nisha quoted about Punarna Mandura with Takra. Of course, in seclusive condition. They too quoted this one. This Takra used as Takra, this Takra used as Takra itself, exclusive Takra, in case of different polarities. In certain patients who are having neurological deficits, this Takra Prayoga done in the methodical Vardhamana way or abundant way, patients' symptoms are going to be improved. That is the importance of gut microbiome or relationship of the gut to that of the other systems of the body. In the same way, about the Pipali Prayoga, wherein we are directly treating the abdomen from the current practice of medicine, we are getting the result somewhere else. One example is a chronic case of asthmatic bronchitis, especially allergic in origin, treated everywhere and elsewhere, came with lot of information right from the investigations to that of the treatment. Post the challenge, that patient was treated with the Sukumara Grata. Kaphavataatmako eto pittasthana samudbhavo. This is the concept. When we are talking about Kaphavataatmako eto pittasthana samudbhavo, Sukumara Grata was given on the basis of Kapha, Vata, Pitta, everything, and given the treatment on a daily basis in the Rasayana Krama. That is, Rasayana should be given in the form of a Prataha, Prage, Prage. Early morning, empty stomach should be given. And ultimately, patients are getting the result. This patient who had the chronic tropical pulmonary eosinophilia or asthmatic bronchitis or atopicity related with the respiratory system developed good results, and later on patient continued the same Sukumara Vrata, and for the past 20 years the patient had no attacks. Here again what I want to highlight is nothing but all pervasiveness. We are treating the Agni, Kaphavataatmako eto pittasthana samudbhavo. Respiratory system, we are treating the Pitta, we are treating the Kapha and Vata by the Sukumara Vrata, and patient got the result. Like this, n number of examples we may give. Those examples are related with the treatment is given on the basis of some prapti. In other words, we are directly or indirectly treating nothing but indirectly or directly treating nothing but Agni. That is the most important thing we have to keep in our mind. There are plenty of examples we may consider. If we are not considering the Agni, it may backfire also. I'll put one more example. A patient who is having degenerative joint disease, grade 3rd, osteoarthrosis grade 3rd, without seeking any other thing, directly the patient was treated with the Gratakalpa, Panchatikta Gugulu Grata was given orally. In the same way, in some patients, Matra Avasti was given. Patient's condition never changed one thing. Patient, in certain cases, patient's condition deteriorated. Why we have to consider? The thing is, the patient is having remnants of the ama. This remnants of the ama ultimately leading to, that's in other words to say retarded Agni, leading to worsening of the condition or status quo. The moment the patient is withdrew from that particular Gratakalpa, instead Pachana Deepana was achieved with the help of the Shunti or Buddha Ardraka Prayoga or Panchakola Kashaya, or even with the Chitrakasava and Kugulu Tikka Kashaya, which contains Ballataka, dramatically that whole scenario was changed. Again, it is related to we are treating the Agni. Even though Jatragni seems to be okay, Dhatu Agni was not absolutely normal. That's why many a times such a type of administration of Agni Balavardhana Chikisa is a must in case of treatment pertaining to other systems as per the current practice of knowledge. That's why in the initial phase of this discussion, I told that current practice of knowledge, respiratory system, musculoskeletal system, then neurological system, like this, it is better not to consider from the point of Ayurveda. We have to consider what is the dosha, what is the dusha, what is the srotas, what is the ama, what is the status of Agni, what's the sanchar sthana. Like this, if we are thinking, we are going to get the good result because we are hitting the target directly. Many times the given treatment seems to be farcical, but it is not farcical. It is actually one thing. That's nothing but we are hitting the samprapti, and by the way, we are getting the result. I am deviating to some extent, but I will stick on to the original plank of discussion. My students who are here right now already appreciated and experienced such things. There are many patients, they are coming from the point of a direct orthopedic OP to our OP. Having intervertebral disc prolapse, straightforward intervertebral disc prolapse. When we are subjecting the patient for the tests, particularly rheumatoid factor, C-reactive protein, uric acid, and ASO titer, many patients are getting positive results related with RA factor positive, C-reactive protein positive, uric acid is increased, ASO is positive. All these are nothing but panel pertaining to Samdosha. We may consider so, Samadosha. And they are having the symptom related with IVDP. IVDP may be the phenomena which is common in many. Everyone is not going for something like that, MRI scan, and we are getting. Basically, they are having the sacroilitis phenomena. It is basically autoimmune phenomena, and it is related with Samadosha condition, and patients are first getting the first symptom as the backache. If they are not treated properly, then they may land into Samavata and Amavata conditions or Vatarakta phenomena depending upon their Kavaigunya. Even in the last month, I had strong suspicion whether our titration is proper or not. I talked to my students, how many are actually having the backache and how many are not having the backache like this one, because such a type of positivity we may consider. Basically, when we are actually unearthing the history, one or other form of Amavata, Samavata, Vatarakta, like these concepts are fitting into them. I don't want to say RA factor is positive, then absolutely Amavata. There may be Simprapti of Samavata also. There may be Samprapti of Vatarakta also. Such a type of vastness is present. When we are talking about the Amadosha, we must concentrate upon the Agni. That's what the importance of Kayagni, or all pervasive nature of the Kayagni. So anyway, we are coming back to our original plank of discussion. Production of the serotonin, it's not the only one thing. In the previous deliberation, formation of some inflammatory surfaces and further treatment has to be considered. Like this, some slides are highlighted about the nature. It is absolutely true. What we are doing in case of Ksharavasti, what we are doing in case of Vaitaranavasti is a similar thing. We are actually creating such a type of raw surface, and there will be oozing or secretion, and further there will be the absorption, and the materials are different. After producing the rawness in the inflammatory and producing the inflammation in the colon, the treatment protocol is entirely different. That's what we have to consider about the all pervasiveness at the level of the gut. Dhatogni and Bhutagni, we are doing the same thing. So whole thing is related with Trivida Kukshe Vimana and Ahara Vidhi Ayatana. When we are talking about this one, there's a Kayagni and it's all pervasive nature. One important aspect we must consider. It may be the first chapter of Vimanasthana or second chapter of Vimanasthana. Even in the Janapadodvamsa, quality of the food is highlighted, not only the quantity. There only they are identifying the diseases having relationship with the Amadosha or Samadosha. That is about Charaka I am talking. And when the patient is coming, we have to consider all such examples. I'll tell you one clinical example, how it is actually behaving. some may still remember. A patient aged about some 50 plus years, having DM, hypertension and stroke. Stroke recovered maximally. After 1.5 years, he came for the treatment. As our students are knowing, other people may also know, there is one Agni Chikitsa Lepa is prescribed for the correction of the Samadosha in our hospital, whole body application of. That was given to the patient for a period of 7 days and remaining treatment. Then next week, as it is old case, we have to consider something like that of the treatment with absolute snehana, and the sneha sweda treatment in the form of Pilichil was given. By the second day, patient complained of heaviness as well as stiffness in the body. Means the patient had the amadosha in the body, particularly at the level of the dhatu. Hence, the patient complained of stiffness and heaviness in the body. This we have to consider. This we have to consider from the point of Kayagni, which is having the influence on the Bhutagni as well as Dhatu. Or even we may consider something like that. One present day scenario. Pulmonary tuberculosis we have to consider. Once upon a time, pulmonary tuberculosis was considered as the disease of the poor, disease of the malnutrition people, disease wherein plenty of children are present in the home. Like today, even in the absolute affluent society also you may see pulmonary tuberculosis. Why it happened? We have to consider two aspects. One is the host mechanism as well as the immune level, immunity. Second one is, even though they are affluent, their ahara vishesha ayatana is not properly followed. When it is not properly followed, definitely they are ending up with some or other forms of samadosha, and opportunistic infections may creep in. When we are seeing the treatment protocol, or when we are seeing the symptom protocol quoted for Rajyakshma, it has a link with Agni. It may be related with Ahara, then also Agni is involved. It may be related with Adivyavaya Janya, they are also Agni related. That Agni is Dhatu Agni, this one is the Jatara. Means, even in the dreaded diseases related with the Yakshma, I don't want to equate pulmonary tuberculosis is equal to Rajyakshma. There are many other things also may come in. One example I am giving. In both the situations, one Jataragni as well as one Dhatwagni, both the concepts may be considered. That's why in Sutrasthana, they are having the concept related with the Bala, Agni Bala, and remaining. Now let us move on to certain psychosomatic disorders and carcinomas, wherein immunity is severely compromised and we will get certain disease. For example, a person who is having duodenal ulcer may definitely related with some or other amount of heavy amount of stress and leading to duodenal ulcer. And treatment is not only given for the healing ulcer, everyone knows there should be anxiolytic treatment also. Or else we may consider concept of Garavisha, concept of Dushivisha. Best example here, the patient may be having the non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver. Impact is on the GIT. Patient is having non-alcoholic cirrhosis of liver and showing the features pertaining to the non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver, and patient is showing certain things. For example, patient is consuming something like the Pepsi, Cola, etc., and ultimately ending up with the phenomena. Pepsi, Cola, etc. is there, ending up the phenomena with the cirrhosis. Here it is Visha, Garavisha, or it is Doshi Visha. Please go through the Ashtanga Sangraha concept of Garavisha and Doshi Visha. The line of treatment mentioned there, one may astonish, is related to the Agni as well as immune system. There Swarnabhasma is highlighted, Swarna is highlighted, as well as Vishara Chikitsa, particularly in the form of treatment, That's Agni is identified. Maybe Murvadi Kashaya. They are quoted. Dushi Vishari Gulika. Wherein it is aimed at the treatment of the Bhutagni and Dhatu Agni. Or the phenomena here it is related with the Agni as well as Ahara. When he talked about this one, Balam Arogyam Ayushcha Pranascha Agno Pratishtitaha. In Agni, there will be influence on Bala, Arogya, Ayu, and Prana. Reference from Charaka Sutra, 27th chapter. It is not quoted in the Grahani Adhyaya. There in the 26th chapter only, he talked about the Viruddhahara, different kinds of Viruddhahara he highlighted. In the practice, we may see lot of information about the Viruddhahara. Those persons who are having the Viruddhahara are definitely having one or other thing related with the skin manifestations, carcinomatous changes, cardiac disorders, infertility, sexual inadequacies, like so. And about the treatment also, he told Vamanam Virechanam, repeated things related to Virechana and Vamana is the ideal thing for such conditions. Here Agni is retarded. That's why one of the important or major symptom in case of the Garavisha is nothing but the impact on the Agni. When we are talking about the Gara or the Doshi, impact on the Agni is identifiable and impact on the Agni is corrected with the help of Vamana. Here Vamana may be Sadhya Vamana or may be other Vamana also. Like this, Virechana or Nitya Virechana, such concepts. That's why we are having a novel concept in Charaka Chikitsa Sthana. First chapter, Rasayana Adhyaya. Cleansing is considered prior to the Rasayana Prayoga. It may be simple Harita Kyadi Yoga or simply something like that, the methodical Virechana or the Vamana Karma. And then and there only we have to consider the Rasayana Prayoga. Because Rasayana requires one cleansing. This cleansing is actually aimed at augmentation of the Agni. There is a concept called as Omite Vardhate Vannehi Yata Anurandhaneva. Means as we are giving the indhana to that of the Agni slowly, there will be increase of the Agni, and by the way there will be improvement of the Agni after the Shodhana. So we are actually treating the Agni, and after the correction of the Agni only, we are giving the disease or disease specific or any other Rasayana. So this is the process which is going on. We may consider something like that of the Gramya Ahar concept. In Chikitsa Sthana, first chapter, second pada and third shloka, he talked about Gramya Ahar. We know about Yayavara and Shalina Rishis. Yayavara and Shalina Rishis and the concept of the Gramyahara and concept of the Gramyahara when we are analyzing, there are many interesting aspects are there. One is related with the either the spectrum is going towards the Grahani or that spectrum is going towards the Udavara. Both are the possibilities. Either the Udavarta or the Grahani. These are the two important symptomatology we may consider. When we are analyzing in Grahani dosha, nearly 30 absolute symptoms pertaining to Rasadhatu of the Ojas and subsidiary symptoms mentioned. Pittajan Gadascha, Vatajancha Gadascha, like this. Subsidiary symptoms are also identified. Means it is more than 50 plus symptomatology or disease are related with the Grahani dosha. Reference Charaka Chikitsa, Grahani Chikitsa Adhyaya, Grahani Pradosha Vyadhi, the Selingam Ajiranas. Are mentioned in case of the Udavarta concept. Anyecha Bhava Roga Anilota, Udavarta concept, quoted in the Chikitsa Sthana Trimarmiya Chikitsa Adhyaya, where 37 plus and other subsidiary symptomatology or diseases are identified. Therein Grahani Pradosha is also mentioned. Interestingly, as Dr. Nisha mentioned one important thing, even Pittajon Madasi told or something like that one. It's not the matter of Pitta Jonmada, etc. In Udavarta Chikitsadhyaya, monodosha he identified. By the Udavarta Samprapti, there will be monodosha. Udavarta is happening because of one reason, because of impairment of the Agni. Grahani is happening, it is because of the impairment of the Agni. That's why even in case of the Grahani Roga, first they identify the physiology related to the Agni. Then only they came for the explanation of the Grahani Pradosha and then Grahani Roga and so on. In Vata Vyadhi, they talked about the physiology, and after the physiology, they talked about the disease. Maybe related with the 4 or 5 lines of physiology, like Vayu, Rayur, Balam, Vayu, etc. What it signifies, what it highlights is nothing but one important thing: involvement of the Agni in each and every place. Maybe from the right front, from the Rasadhatu till that of the Shukradhatu. That's why. Even I'll give one example. A person who is having the delayed liquefaction time in case of semenology, a person who is possessed with the biospermia or teratospermia, when they are treated with certain concepts like Pachana, Deepana, cleansing, may be related to Granthi Bhuta or other Shukra Dushti, they are getting the relief. Some of my students may remember a person who is having the repeated increase in the viscosity as well as increase in the time of liquefaction plus pyospermia, treated with only 5 drugs, Kirata, Tikta, Tikta, Musta, Amruta, Parpata, keeping one concept in the mind that is related with the Jvara, and that patient was having absolute normalcy in case of semenogram. Count was increased, motility was superb, and there is no infection. What it is suggestive of? We are treating the Agni, we are treating the Dhatu Agni, and by the treatment with previous treatment, which is aimed at only increase of a spermatogenesis concept, actually futile. Original concept is related with the involvement of the Shukra Dhatu. Shukra Dhatu Agni is not correct. Treated with the concept pertaining to Jvara and Shukra Dhatu. 5 drugs are there, and document is there. It is nothing but the indication of treatment towards the Shukra, also many a times based on treatment about the Agni. This what suggests nothing but all pervasive nature of the Kayagni. Kayagni influences everything. That's why even in case of Vata Vyadhi, which is Vata is Amurta, Soma, Surya, Anila is specified. Surya is also there. It is nothing but related with Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Hence, treatment towards Agni is the key right from the dosha, dhatu till the malas. Something highlighted about the malas, about the nature, smell of the mala already in the previous slides given by Dr. Nisha. So, I am actually crossing the time limit. Nearly 1 hour is over. Now my guru, Dr. Ravi Shankar sir, has to talk. So I'll step aside by this time. Anything which is going to be surfaced in chat box or this question box, I'll answer later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was really an informative session. We are enlightened with your knowledge and presence. I request the delegates to post their questions in the chat box. All the questions will be addressed at the end of today's session. The session is to be continued by Dr. B. Ravi Shankar. Before moving on to the session, I would like to take the privilege of introducing sir. Dr. B. Ravi Shankar ji was former director, SDM Center for Research in Ayurveda and Allied Sciences and professor of experimental medicine. Sir did his BSc Biology in Yuvaraja College and University of Mysore in 1972. MSc Pharmacology from Mysore Medical College 1975 and PhD from Gujarat University 1992. Sir started his career as Assistant Research Officer, Pharmacology in 1979. In 1990, Sir was appointed as Project Officer, Pharmacological Research Unit under CCRAS and asserts more than 25 projects. He is an exponent and scholar reviewer, and editor for many journals. He is a recipient of Indian Drugs Manufacturer Association Award for the Best Research Paper published in the journal Indian Drugs in 1993 and 2010. Hariom Ashram first gold medal for research in 2001, and Ayush Lifetime Achievement Award for research in 2017. Sir served as member advisory board Srishti Herbal Academy and Research Institute Raipur, Chhattisgarh, and as expert member Interface Group FRLHT Bangalore. He visited Oman in 2008 as Government of India nominee. He is a group leader of Syllabus Committee for Research Methodology and Medical Biostatistics, CCIM. Sir is also member Scientific Advisory Group and member Governing Body CCRAS, Government of India. Now, without further ado, let's begin the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Am I audible to the participants?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. I hope my screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. I would like to begin my interaction with you by greeting all of you on this very interesting occasion. And after hearing to such a wonderful talks and presentation by my predecessor speakers, and being the last speaker, I'll try to hold your attention as much as possible with my limited resources. My brief is to identify the areas for research, by providing linkage between microbiome to different aspects of Ayurvedic concepts of diagnosis, prophylaxis, and treatment. We all know that health requires homeostasis. Homeostasis involving, it's a process of providing dynamic equilibrium among different body systems. In our body, thousands of physiological reactions are occurring. Thousands of pathological perturbation would be there every minute. So to take care of them, there should be a dynamic equilibrium. So it's not static. It is so dynamic with so many factors, being playing their role. So it's a really wonder how our body maintains equilibrium. So in this this homeostasis has got many components. One is there are different systems which are tuned for receiving information, gathering information for all parts of the body, sending it to the central controller, analyzer, and integrator. That's central nervous system. And central nervous system sends the whatever analysis it does to the effector system. Effector system is made up of hormonal, neuronal, and latest I think it's the role of microbiome in this functional component of the homeostasis is emerging with very interesting details, and seems to be very important from that point of view. GI tract, as Professor Rao was referring to the Mahasrotas, it comprises innumerable microbiota. Microbiota doesn't mean only the bacteria. It has got, apart from bacteria, as Professor Nisha was mentioning, archaea, the representative archaea, fungi, viruses, and other organs are there. So their collective genome is known as microbiome. So microbiota is the word used to indicate the microbial composition, and microbiome refers to the information, genomic information, which is available about those microbiomes. So at present, microbiome and the microbiota are present in every part of the in most of the parts of the body. The gut alone has got 30 trillion, just imagine. And the total microbiota population is being put around 100 trillions. So, the information gathered till now shows that microbiota plays a very important role in different processes like digestion, energy homeostasis, metabolism, providing important essential factors to the body, regulating immune function, taking care of the body's the defense mechanism at the point of at the portal of entry. And another point, as Professor Nisha was mentioning, just like we have different prakritis and different variation, combination, permutation, and depending upon different regions. So the microbiome has got tremendous, variation in individual variation, and in comparison to other entities, it is not static. It goes on changing. Only the microbiota of the skin is relatively static. Otherwise, all other microbial components in most of the other system, they always undergo dynamic changes. So this is illustration of the imaginary illustration of the gut microbiota. They have mentioned that this dynamic equilibrium can be the balance equilibrium can be affected by certain factors like sugars. Sugars have the potential to disrupt the gut diversity. Gut diversity is very, very, very important. Gut homogeneity is not required. The diversity and constant dynamic change is important. So if sugar content is very high in the diet, so it promotes it disturbs this equilibrium and it causes what you call as dysbiosis, and leading to the entry of pathogenic bacteria, pathogenic microbes. And another important factor which is leading to this dysbiosis is antibiotic administration. So 80% of the antibiotic, antibiotics are the most important factors which cause the dysbiosis. I'm not referring to the antibiotics used by the physician. According to one of the studies, 80% of the antibiotic-related microbial disruption comes from the food route. Because for high throughput production of meat, they use steroids and antibiotics. So that is gaining entry into the body through the food. So the food chain is one of the most important factor which is causing disruption of the the gut microbia. So these two areas can be very important areas for research. From point of view of Ayurveda, where in dietic and Viruddhahara concept, the concept of Dushi Visha are there. So this can be taken under that component. And apart from this, many drugs, several drugs are also impact the microbiota. Some of the examples are the proton pump inhibitors given in stomach ulcer, and anti-inflammatory drugs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and oral contraceptives. These have been proven to have disruptive effect on the microbiota. So we can club whenever these drugs are given. I think providing some of our Ayurvedic formulation which protect and promote gut microbiota like Triphala and Triphala and curcuma, it may be beneficial. I don't know, but it's one of the strains of thoughts. And stress, it's one of the most important component, because of its impact on diverse systems, can cause or upset the microbiome balance. So this is a illustration which provides provides an overview of different types of microbia in gut. So most of them, they belong to the phyla Bacteroidetes and the Firmicutes. more than I think 70 to 80% belong to this. Other phyla are also represented in that. Now, I like the comment made by both Dr. Nisha Kumari and Professor Niranjan. So all this, you know, they are all in touch with the Mahasrotas. You know, for example, this nose. It starts from the nose. So nose has got very important role, especially in protecting the the healthy milieu in the upper respiratory tract. For the it acts as a gateway and gatekeeper, and that way very powerful and very important protector of the gateway into the upper and lower respiratory system. And then in mouth, not only in assist in digestion, pathogen, so multiple functions are there. Lungs, again, they lubricate pulmonary tissue, but there is a constant traffic between these entities within the gut, in the gut microbiota. It's a two-way traffic, and each of them influence each other in a way which is protective in nature. Whenever that equilibrium is broken, so so this whole concept of affecting different system may come, that may be equated with this Kayagni. So this perturbation of this multiple way traffic, multiple system interaction can be an important topic for research in future. So if you begin with this thing, the microbe, the microbiota of the nose helps in what you call as mucociliary clearance. That is secretion from the mucus and also promoting the movement of the ciliary elements in the esophageal epithelium. And not only that, the nasal epithelium secretes antibacterial peptides like lysozymes, lactoferrin, and also it promotes generation of reactive oxygen species which act on the pathogens, and also hydrogen peroxide and nitric oxide. They also, all of them have got important physiological role in preventing and destroying the microbes they enter. And the nasopharyngeal, these tonsils, tubal, palatine, lingual, they're all part of the lymphatic tissue of the nose. They serve as the most important component of microbial recognition and defense, and they're also influenced by this microbiota. So not only this, the cells which are present in the this nasal cavity, so they excrete, they produce and secrete chemokines, so which activate multiple pathways related to the immune system. Not only this, olfaction, the perception of smell, that itself can trigger immune responses through olfactory epithelium and omoronasal organ. Not only that, so the whatever we perceive in the nose, the sensor which are present there, they may act on the trigeminal nerve-mediated reflexes, cough reflexes, sneezing reflexes, and breathing rate reflexes. So effect of our treatment, nausea treatment on this component can be a very, very important and interesting component of any research, from diagnosis, preventive as well as curative aspects. More important, the most important and revolutionary concept, I think one of the most revolutionary concept in Ayurveda is the bitter taste, using this Rasapanchaka concept. So now it has been, clearly understood that bitter taste receptors act as biosensors. So they are not simple biosensors. They perceive, they modulate, they direct the progression of the disease, they direct the progression of the recovery, And in whatever activity is there with regards to therapeutic aspect, all the aspects are modulated by these biosensors. They are not simple biosensor. Actually, biosensor linked modulators, biomodulators. I think that would be the ideal word. But people always use better the taste receptors. And they prevent the formation of pathological biofilms. So biofilm formation, one for our important symbiotic the microbes, and biofilms formation, if it occurs with the pathogens, it will be very difficult to eradicate. So much before anything occurs, much before the bacterial quorum sensing molecule comes, there is a sensory system which senses the bacterial pattern. There are 2-3 attributes which is sensed by these molecules. So these bitter taste receptors get activated. So they prevent formation of biofilm formation, and that's they stimulate the formation of acyl homoserine lactone. So it's a quorum sensing molecule, which that means perception would be refined. Not only it that it also releases and promotes nitric oxide production, which has got important role in that. Interestingly, Madura taste receptors. So sometimes they, they act as equilibrating agents. If that equilibrium, become excess, they may prevent the, normal physiological role of the bitter taste receptor. So the bitter taste receptor related, this rasa related research activity can be undertaken in numerous this thing. So as clearly explained by Professor Nisha, so there's an axial microbial composition gradually changes its profile from the intrauterine life. In the intrauterine life, it receives microbiota from the placenta, which is to the placenta is contributed by oral GI tract and vaginal microbiota of the mother. And it progresses and achieves the adult this thing when it comes to the adolescence age. Not only that, the nasal microbiome may be latest information is that they may be involved in some of the neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson disease, Alzheimer's, and multiple sclerosis. So because this microorganism contribute to the normal development of the olfactory epithelium. If it is disturbed, so then the innate immune system becomes fails. So it will trigger inflammatory reaction and formation of this synuclein. This synuclein is just a multi-protein component, for folding of protein occurs, and this is sort of a toxin. So it will cause oxidative stress, and it initiates cross-seeded misfolding. So all this leads to development of neurodegenerative diseases. So this can be, of course, this phenomena is there not only in the nose, in the oral, as well as GI tract, in the reproductive organs, in lungs, everywhere. This type of linkage between neurodegenerative disorder and changes in the microbiota has been identified. And in a very interesting study, the researchers have gathered information. They showed that the microbiota profile is different in certain diseases like allergic rhinitis, chronic rhinosinusitis, asthma, otitis media. So each of them, the microbiota is different, and it is different from the normal. So that means the microbiota is clearly involved in this thing. So I don't want to read the information about the technical aspects. So that you can have reference in the later stage. So those which are responsible for acute respiratory tract infection, otitis media, only their modification by drugs can achieve a treatment, but this chronic rhinitis related this thing has not yet been deciphered. So again, this what I explained about the taste receptors, it has been illustrated in this. So both bitter T2R is for bitter taste receptor, T1R is for sweet this thing, and this inhibits and the bitter this thing. So it promotes AMP formation, and AMP acts on the microbial killing. So the antimicrobial proteins are developed, and they kill almost all type of microbial organs, including fungi, virus, and all those things. So this nasal microbiome, is influenced by both external and intrinsic factors, and also factors like aging, disease, immune response, lifestyle habits, and environment. So I think our preventive, processes, processes, especially irrigation with saline or saline rinses, cleaning up the that is shown of this nasal cavity through Nash or any other techniques can be very important, and it can be a very interesting topic for from Ayurvedic perspective. And coming to oral cavity, it is very complex. You require at least 2 to 3 hours to discuss the intricate aspect of this oral cavity microbiome. There are more than 700 species belonging to 185 genera and 12 phyla. So in the oral cavity, the microbiomes are present in different niches. They've got different places where they're lodged. So why oral cavity provides the ideal environment along with nasopharyngeal region, because the temperature normally it's around 37 degree, and saliva has got a stable pH of 6.5 to 7. So these two are favorable for the bacteria to be hydrated. So these two form a very important factor in the maintenance of microbe. So role in oral diseases, a role in non-oral diseases has been depicted in this diagram. That means they influence everything. In oral cavity also, the periodontitis, and then the oral cavity related this thing, and oral cancer. All these things are have been linked to microbiome. And the changes which occur in the oral microbiome have been linked to obesity, diabetes, liver diseases, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, just like those in the GI tract. So oral microbiota is altered during oral and whole body diseases. So it can be one of the very important targets for treating oral diseases and improving the body's physiological physical state. And the changes which occur in the oral cavity can be transmitted to the GI tract, and virtually every aspect of physiology and health is influenced by this microbiota. And there are many complex factors, external factors, which influence the composition of the microbiome in all these organs. So hence it becomes and very important, as shown by one of illustrious scientists attached to Maharishi Ayurveda group, Professor Wallace. He has pointed out that in Ayurveda, one of the important therapeutic focus is on maintaining diet, digestion, and a healthy lifestyle. So all these things have got influence on the microbiota. And GI tract, so GI tract would require at least 10 to 12 hours interaction to discuss or analyze each aspect. So it has got very important functions. One is it supplies important molecules, both nutrient molecules and regulatory molecules. Nutrient molecules like protein, carbohydrate, fat, vitamins, and minerals for all the system to work properly. So it is the what you call sort of annadata for all the systems. Just like provider of rasa dhatu. So to maintain and support all other systems. So it also, not only that, it generates innumerable biological factors, chemical factors which maintain equilibrium between different systems and between foreign factors and the internal organs. And most important one, I think, not much of us discuss about the role of bile. So bile regulation of bile metabolism, bile turnover, and modulation in the body by the microbiome plays a very, very important role both in maintaining the health and disease. I shall explain this in little more detail in the next few slides. So GI tract, we have got homeostasis maintenance with this, broadly GRAS components, epithelial layer, enteric endocrinal organization, enteric nervous system, autonervic and CNS influence on these entities, coordination among these components, and GI tract microbiota, bile and its role. Above all, our biosensors, the taste receptors, and their very characteristic and complex organization in the GI tract. So what is in red is all pathological influences. What is in green? It's all physiological in nature. Stomach and colon microbe. So their component. And it's very important, to be aware about the nature of different cells. So in GI tract villas, so epithelial layer, we have got different cells like, for example, M cells, cup cells, the enterocrine cells, enterocytes, goblet cells, mucus secretion, and those things, as Nisha Kumari mentioning. So it plays a very important role. This panthic cells, tough cells, all of them, and immunohistochemistry. So this thing shows how they are get expressed, and also their link to the enteric nervous system has been depicted in this. So these M cells are known as microfold cells. They play a very important role in the regulation of immune system. They serve as antigen presentation component. Cup cells, they got short border microvilli. So they also form part, but they don't have any role in the antibody production. But so they are involved in maintenance of the other cells. Enteroendocrine cells, they produce a number of hormones. If you talk about a number of hormones, it will take 2 to 3 hours. I will just glance through them in the later part. And absorptive enterocytes, their main responsibility is nutrient absorption. And Paneth cells, so Paneth cells are very important from defense point of view. They produce these antimicrobial peptides, antimicrobial proteins, and also they have they secrete growth factor to maintain stem cells, which give rise to all type of other cells. Tough cells are there, so they protrude into the biolumin. They act as the biosensors. They have express our taste receptors, and most important, they express this TRP, transient potential membrane related ion channels, which are present in all the tissues, and which respond in milliseconds, even more than that, microseconds, to changes that occur. And they are linked to bitter, sweet, and umami taste. So microbiome's role in the GI tract. One is metabolic effect, synthesis of co-metabolism along with GI tract. So vitamin synthesis and fermentation of carbohydrate, lipids, and proteins in this some of the microbial example I have given there. And not only that, they also produce key enzymes involved in formation of vitamin B12. So they are found only in bacteria. So they can produce, as Professor Nisakumari was mentioning, non-essential amino acid, short chain fatty acids, and they got a very important role in biotransformation and bile regulation. Then structural defense against the pathobionts, this microbiome, so they form a sort of complex organization, thereby preventing the pathogenic bacteria and getting entry, pathogenic microbe getting entry into the interior of the GI tract. They prevent the entry at the level of epithelial cells itself. So they play a very important role in antigen presentation, development of the immune system representative in, which produce antibodies and involved in cell-mediated immunity, and also in innate immunity, like macrophages, natural killer cells, and dendritic cells. They form the component of innate or inborn immunity. So all these are modulated by microbiome. If this is broken, so it may lead to many, immune-linked diseases like Crohn's disease, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis. And a recent review has, has given very cogent argument for the existence of a role of gut microbiota about anything else. This ankylosing spondylitis is also linked to microbiota. So bile acids, they control gut microbial overgrowth, protect against inflammation, and also the biotransformation of many external chemicals which we consume by acting on a very important transcription factor, phosphonide X receptor. Phosphonide X receptor is involved in stimulating the biotransformation linked pathways in the body, so that any external chemical we consume, including drugs, are metabolized very fast. And bile acids are synthesized from the cholesterol in the liver, further metabolism by the microbiota into the secondary bile acids. So these secondary bile acids play a very important role. Deoxycholic acid and lithocholic acid. They are very prominent. They provide a feedback, regulatory mechanism in the colon. If that fails, then the bile is secreted in excess, and it produces a number of disorders. And this one, membrane receptor, is expressed on enteric nerves, innate cells, epithelial cells throughout the intestinal tract and biliary tracts. So it plays, this TGR5 plays very important role in maintaining energy homeostasis. So by acting on energy relay linked tissues like bone adipose tissue, and regulating insulin sensitivity, improving glucose metabolism, and it is modulated by bile acids. So because of time limit, I don't want to explain all those things, but some of the important things have been depicted in this picture. So especially influence of the bile on these pathways. So acute and chronic, and this NFK nuclear factor kappa B, it plays very important role in different kinds of pathogenesis, especially inflammatory disease and immune disorders. And not only that, it also plays very important role in carcinogenesis. So the factor like FXR, as I mentioned, concerned with the metabolism, and vitamin D related receptors, they are all modulated by bile. So bile also have, there is a physiological phenomenon as ileal break. So ileum secretes peptides and many, not only this secondary bile acids, so which through neuron and endocrinal mechanism, so modulate the entry of chyme from the stomach into the small intestine. so that only the desired amount comes there and remains there for desired period. So that is also modulated. If that is broken down, then bile is secreted without any check, and it produces all sort of disorders like malabsorption, and pathogenesis of IBD, IBS, and colorectal cancer. In all these things, so this bile acid disequilibrium plays an important role. The motility is also linked to secretion of many of these things. Microbiome, acts, influences, so many neurotransmitters. Motility by gastrin, motilin secretion, and the CCK. These are the peptides which have an effect on GI tract movement, like CCK, GLP, glucagon-like protein. It has got multiple and factor in energy metabolism, and it's a very important. It plays very important role in including in the insulin resistance. So like that. So very important component of the GI tract are influenced by microbiome. Not only that, appetite signaling also modulated. So many toxic substances like tyrosine, tryptophan degradation product, indole acetic acid, they're all formed, and amines and polyamines they're all originated from the microbiome. So GM dysbiosis plays a very important role in IBD, and here it's very important to function and mention the function of the specialized group of protein known as HSPs, heat shock proteins. So they play a very important biological role in the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary organization of the proteins, and also their folding. Improper folding leads to formation of toxic product like synuclein. So if any this thing occurs, the body removes them through apoptosis. So that mechanism, it gets deranged during GM dysbiosis. So, and of course, IBD, many important targets are mentioned. So I've just given the name. I don't want to explain now. It will take time. And the microbes, parasites are recognized by their molecular pattern. That is known as microbe-associated molecular pattern. And another one is the disease-linked microbial molecular pattern. So these two are very important for their sensing of the different microbes. I think in that taste receptors and other these things play an important role. And also they play a very important role in formation of it's just like this advanced glycation end products, AGs. So they are even you can call them as Hamavisha, if I don't know whether it is appropriate or not. So they play a very important role in causing obesity, diabetes, and also diabetic retinopathy and neuropathy. So formation of this advanced glycation product is controlled by gut microbiome. And of course, our previous speakers, both of them were mentioning about the linkage between gut and neuronal and the psychoneuro functions in the body. So bacterial strain produce not only GABA, which causes depression. So short chain fatty acid it influences the formation of serotonin. Serotonin, is very important for some of the functions, for example, feeding, sleep. So that's again influenced by gut microbe through short chain fatty acid. So and also gut motility through this serotonin. And glia, the connective tissue of the nerves, in the gut and other regions. So they are kept in a healthy condition. But if they get inflamed, they produce different factors, GP, AFP, and the neurotrophic factor. So they play very important roles in them. They break the mucosal barrier. In inappropriate functioning of these two factors, they break the mucosal barrier. So the pathogenic bacteria start entering it. So all these things are maintained in equilibrium by microbiota. So ENS and also as I mentioned earlier with nasal microbiota, so the microbiota of the gut is also involved in Parkinson-like disease. And here the information, the misfolded proteins are transmitted just like this rabies virus from contact from cell to cell, probably through vagus nerve. Alzheimer's disease and also E. coli, IBD and IBS. Nowadays, fecal microbiota transplantation is gaining importance. So they take the microbiota from the healthy, individuals, and then transmit it to the those who are suffering from diseases like Clostridia. So this thing, Escherichia Shigella, like microbes. So Clostridium difficile infection is very difficult, and it is and that and Crohn disease, ulcerative colitis, all are there in So there's some very good response with fecal microbiome, transfer from healthy person to that. And this gut microbiota are protected by the GI tract. They are not considered as outsiders because of the arrangement with the body's recognition system. However, if that gets disturbed, so as Nisha Kumari was telling, the protectors become the offenders, and the gut microbiome get converted into symbiotic or commensal into the pathogenic one. And also they work in consultation with the pathogenic bacteria. To prevent that, so the taste receptor linked, pattern recognizers. So they are linked to three type of very well characterized inflammation sensors. So they form inflammasome. Inflammasome is a protective formation of multiple age, factors. So it initiates the protective inflammation to take care of these changes that occur, that prevent the entry of the this pathogenic bacteria into the gut. So if that inflammasome induced inflammation, if it is not regulated, so then it will lead to GI tract cancer, IBD, IBS, and non-alcoholic fatty liver diseases, obesity, and immune reaction, infection. A spectrum of disease will be caused if the inflammasome is no, actually it should work only when required. If it overworks, if it gets dysregulated, then it becomes pathogenic. So this is the complex arrangement. So there are 5-6 slides about inflammasome, but just I'm showing you how complex it is and how important it is. So a very interesting point to be noted here is that, Basti Chikitsa got a very important role in maintaining all these factors in equilibrium. And this bacterial metabolites, if this pathogenic bacteria, they will increase the formation of secondary bile acids, and the response of the liver cells into the primary this thing, and they also initiate formation of these pathological factors like TMA and TMAO. So all of them have got pathologic role, and they are linked to the formation of hepatic carcinoma. So these are some of the secondary products which can be generated by the microbiome. So microbial products, after initiation of leaky gut, what can they do to other organs has been depicted in this illustration. So these are some of the metabolites, toxic metabolites which are formed. So I don't know whether they can be equated with Garavisha. or endogenous Amavisha, which are because they are found from some of them are found in the body, some of them are found by the microbiota. So trimethylamine inoxide TMO, and then bile acids rolling, branched chain amino acid, trimethylene inoxide, tryptophan, and indole derivatives. They all are involved in metabolic disorders. And peripheral artery diseases, cardiovascular disease is also linked to the formation of trimethylene inoxide. So it has a role in vascular diseases. So their linkage has been mentioned, and the factors linked to this. So all these factors can become the target of our research. Atherosclerosis, some of the peptide statement, reprogrammed microbiome transcriptome. So it has suppressed pro-inflammatory cytokines and prevented atherosclerosis formation in experimental animals. So it is said to be tested in human beings. So like that, role of bile acid, further detailed role of this thing, gut-brain axis and stress. So the route of communication between the microbiota and brain has been clearly defined. So it also gets perturbed. And then the taste receptors, their important role. So the sweet, bitter, and some fat taste receptors also have been identified, like G protein 14, G422, and their mechanism is to be recognized. So how they influence different biological factors involved, and this TRPMS, transpotential ion channels which are present, especially linked to the calcium, their physiological role has been depicted in this. And then the taste receptors linkage to enteroendocrine cells, and number of endocrine factors which are secreted, and their role has been depicted here. And skin, I think Professor Niranjan was telling about the linkage between mass rotas and skin. Skin, also has got a very important role, skin microbiome. So the skin microbiome, the skin, is grouped into sebaceous kind, chest and back, moist kind in elbow, back of knee, and dry kind in forearm and palm. So these three regions, they host different microbiomes, and they respond in a different manner. So it plays very, very important role. Microbes help in healing, wound healing, fortifying immune system of the entire body, and it also produces volatile signaling molecules, which I think in future each individual can be identified by the smell emanates. So these are kind of the bacteria which are present on the skin. See the extensive number of bacteria, different kinds. So these are the other eukaryotes present on the skin as a number of colonies, and viral colonies in the dry, moist, sebaceous food type of this thing. All of them, they play a very important role. How they play, how this, endogenous microbes act against the pathogenic bacteria, and their role through the cytokine has been illustrated here. I'm not taking reading the name out because I want to give you a bird's eye view. So vast, it's. I thought it's very important to focus your attention to the overall picture, so that each individual component can be discussed in later stage. For example, this atopic dermatitis and other skin conditions, the carcinogenic changes, so they are all linked to chronic relapsing inflammatory inflammation driving factors in the skin, and also from other the gut and other parts of the body. So immune testis also has got important microbiome. So, but the quantity is less of 4-5 families, and any dysbiosis leads to formation of induction of this inducible nitric oxide synthesis linked to this thing, and also germ cell aplasia will occur. So germ cell aplasmia, it's linked to the role of this microbe. So 7 has got unique microbe, but the from where they come and how they function, clearly it's not elucidated yet. So, however, it has been shown that the survey studies have shown that the bacterial composition of the semen can be linked to poor semen quality, sub-infertility, prostatitis, and HIV infection. So this can be play a very important as a role as target for our evaluation. So the seminal microbiome may influence couples' health and even that of the offspring. So maybe it may be linked to the the quality of bija, or if anything occurs, the bija also that may be due to dysbiosis here. And this microbiome may affect the sexual behavior of both the parents. So in normal spermic men, small amounts of those bacteria have been distinct. Sperm specimen with a negative retrieval were found to have different kind of microbia. And taste receptors, they have been especially bitter and sweet taste receptors are there. So they play a very important role in the development of different stages of development of sperms. The quality of sperms is maintained because of the role of taste receptors. So they play a very important role in male infertility. So it has been observed that abnormal taste receptor gene activity has been linked to the male infertility. If taste receptors are not normal, it may result in male infertility. A very important topic for research. So, and in vagina also, this bacterial the vaginosis is a very important prevent throughout the globe. So this Gardnerella vaginalis is the most common microorganism. So if it is not controlled, it is controlled by other microorganisms. So if this equilibrium is lost, so this is the microbial community in different parts. It's not present universally in all parts of the this reproductive tract, but in some niche locations. So whichever conducive for them, they are present there. So it provides a very ideal environment for their growth. So infertility and other things, menstrual irregularities have been linked to the and sexually transmitted disease, urinary infection, preterm birth. They have all been linked to the dysbiosis of this vaginal microbiome. And psychobiotics, it is very important, new concept, the microbes influencing the psychological, trait in a person. So that it has come into existence, and the psychobiotics it's a very important component. It affects many psychological disorders and immune systems. So the psychobiotics, they got influence on them. So by the psychobiotics, they are they have they act through HBA axis and this sympathoadrenomedulla link. Gut microbial pattern, triple has been found to produce a very good effect, and especially the polyphenols in the this thing. Curcumin has got have been found to have influence on the microbiota gut-brain axis. And some people, with associated with the Ayurvedic field, they have tried to provide a linkage between micro and different systems, and the concept like manas, ojas, So I think the influence of microbiome on ojas and this role of Agni, ojas, and manas they are very important in pathogenesis, and also the regulation of this metabolism of hama, and then keeping the dosha, dhatu, and mala in their normal physiological functional this thing. So it has been attributed, the role has been assessed, but lot of numerous studies are required to be undertaken on this thing. In one of the study, 60 panchakarma intervention by one of the research group has shown that it increases the formation of choline metabolism, phospholipid biosynthesis, lipoprotein metabolism in a positive manner. So panchakarma, they show that it has got definite influence over the microbiome. So like that, lot of things can be, this thing. I have not opened 3-4 hyperlinks in my presentation to save time. So what is important is that unfortunately we do not have infrastructure to ascertain the relation for microbiota to our concept. So we need to have very good world-class facility in at least in some of our major institutes funded by government, because private funding will not be easy for this. So, and then this biological information, whatever we are getting through research, it's fundamental to all the system. It's not only restricted to, the concept in allopathy. So they are only linking to the concept in allopathy. It is not true. So this fundamental biological concept can be linked to different concepts of different systems. So that's why this emphasis of, on this Ayurvedic biological. So we need to have biological profile as evidence to describe the Ayurvedic concept. So which is to be undertaken in a long term. It will take centuries. But I hope in future with a lot of interest and what you call application and dedication, our government would support development of Ayurveda. Since for last 50, 60, 70 years, no support system has been given to Ayurveda. Ayurveda has developed tremendously, but not to the level of Chinese traditional system because of a lack of infrastructure. We have got wonderful researchers, top class researchers, like my fellow investigators and at many important institutes where they can explain both Ayurvedic and modern concept beautifully. I've seen some of the even youngsters, who have entered into the profession now. They also have got this dedicated approach. I end my this talk. I know it is not very elaborate because I wanted to give you a bird's eye view of role of microbiome. Even the lung microbiome has been left out because of the shortage of time. So with this optimistic note, I end my this presentation interaction with you. I would like to thank all the organizing committee members and also to the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for presenting such an informative session, sir. Now it's time to clear out all the queries. Delegates, please post your questions in the chat box. Delegates are requested to post your questions in the chat box. Sir, we have one question, sir. Shall we begin, sir?
Please begin and please address to the persons, concerned person. I think Professor Rao and Professor Nisha, they will take the question related to Ayurvedic this thing. If anything is there about the aspect which I have mentioned, I'll definitely answer. Clear.
Yes, sir. Our first question is, please mention a rasayana for good gut flora, or to maintain Samagni? Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible. You are clear. Niranjan is yes, opened up.
Methi Modaka is one such thing. Methi Modaka, reference Vaishya Jaratana, Methi Modaka and Brahan Methi Modaka.
Methi Modaka. And
Brahan Methi Modaka. Composition is somewhat extra, that's all. Okay. It is one of the ideal thing. Right from the gut, it is going to act. It is also going to act on the colon. It is also a rasayan and vajikara dravya also. Hence, right from the gut in the sense, rasadhatu to shukradhatu. It is one of the ideal thing. Methi modaka. Vaishya Jaratana reference.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any individual drug, Professor Rao? Any individual drugs, any varga which can act on
Jivani.
Oh, Jivani Varga, yeah. So that they can focus on that. Definitely. And formulation, yeah,
One
Jivani.
simple drug, Jivanti, leptidine or reticulate.
Yeah.
It works very well.
Thank you, sir. Sir, our next question. How probiotics are helpful in gut problem?
It's very simple, probiotics, they help in maintaining, their main function is to maintain the balance between this pathogenic and protective microorganisms. So this dynamic balance, whatever disrupted, it gets rectified by these probiotics. So a lot of studies have been conducted, especially the scientists working on the food supplements. They have come out with a lot of information. In fact, they are the people who are doing this research on microbiome in all organs. How they restore their multiple functioning capabilities.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have one Savita Bhutali who have raised her answer.
You please unmute her. You see, I think she wants to ask a question.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Please ask your question, so that
sir,
one of.
Yes, sir. Sir, namaste, sir.
Namaste.
It was wonderful, sir. My question is to Niranjan Rao, sir.
Please.
Okay, sir. Sir, there is a 52-year-old female patient. She is accidentally diagnosed with the right CA, breast CA, sir. And she has mets to lungs and the bony lesions, bony parts. And they have consulted oncologist. They have given prophylaxis for the prevention to the spreading to the bones. So they denied chemotherapy and radiotherapy. Sir, they consulted me. And I have given Sadhyavamana and Virechana. After that, from the Kerala, Ashtangam Ayurveda College, Trayanta Kashaya, and one more Kashaya was given, sir, which contains Balataka. Daily 60 ml BD it was given. And along with I have given Hem Garbha Potali and some of the Pandu, this thing, Punarva Mandura Tapyadi Loha, and Kachinar Gugulu Arogya Vardhinivati, and Varunadi Kashaya, sir. So till now she was all right, sir. She was not having any problems and her Agni was good. And since 1 week she has a leg pain severely. She cannot bear it, sir. So what could be your approach, sir?
Probably see one more thing. If you bone demineralization, you have to consider.
Yes, sir.
Because Palataka is having the tendency or the capacity to induce aplasia or the hypoplasia of bone marrow.
Okay, sir.
Whatever your presentation from the point of patient is related with some amount of pain in the legs. Some amount of pain in the legs is nothing but indication of one thing, that is demineralization might have been started. So as far as possible, try to wean the Ballataka for a period of some 15 to 30 days.
Okay, sir.
Second one, Pravala Pishti you may give. It will help.
Sir.
Provalapit in the dose of some 30 milligrams thrice a day. Help.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, what could be the prognosis, sir, as per your experience?
When say now the old classification what we are talking TNM,
Okay.
most of the oncologists are not following. It is molecule or
Yes.
which particular molecule is actually involved.
Okay.
So accordingly they will talk now. In most of the carcinomas, TNM classification is not followed so thoroughly now. Now the question is the involvement of that other system, METs, that is important. If the METs are so strong, the prognosis is not good. So better to think on the METs. That is metastasis, you have to concentrate. If the metastasis is too much, be careful.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So we have a question. Sir, would like to know journals where we can get information on gut microbes, recent researches for references, and the treatment for chronic IBS.
I would like to take the question. You just Google it, microbiota of the gut. You will get any number of this thing. If you find it difficult, you can contact me or email. I've got some collections. I will send it to you, including pathogenesis and treatment for IBS. And of course, for chronic IBS treatment from Ayurvedic point of view, I think Professor Rao is the right person to answer.
The question is actually related with at what stage and how the patient is presenting. Vata Jagrani, Pitta Jagrani, or Kapha Jagrani. If the symptomatology is related to Sannipata, then the prognosis is actually poor. So Vata Pitta Kapha, according to the presentation, we have to see. So if the patient is having Vata Jagrani Roga and some offshoots like Vata Gulma Radroga plication, just I mentioned in MND. MND case is there, but patient is according to Ayurveda, we diagnosed according to Vata Jagrani Roga and Supadrava Vata Roga. So in such situation, prognosis or the treatment is difficult, but we may treat if it is Ekadosha. There are plenty of things we may consider.
Actually, the best treatment for IBS and IBD is from Ayurveda only, because I think in the modern this thing they have failed to categorize these 4 categories you have mentioned.
Yes.
That's the reason why, because in all the 4 different microbes and different factors may be involved, and unless you specifically handle them, you're not going to get relief.
Yes.
So I think if treatment is given on the basis of your this thing, but this diagnosis is very important.
Yes. There are plenty of such examples we may consider. Only thing is Ayurveda diagnosis we must consider.
Yeah. We should not go by IBS, IBD. We should tackle it with focus on grahani, different types of grahani, their pathogenesis, and how to take care of them.
Yes. Individuals segregation from the point of Ayurveda is important, not the diagnosis.
Yeah. And then Niranjan, somebody has suggested, best Agni Dipana, Agni Amapachana drugs which are helpful in Jatragni and Dvatvani. Please provide them.
Sir, simple thing is related with if there is a involvement of Samadosha, the Kankayanavati, Bunimbadi Kshara, Bunimbadi Kashaya, Pipalyadi Kashaya, or Pipalyasava, these are actually beneficial. If there is no such involvement, then the line of treatment would be different from the point of Agnitundi. Like this, it runs so. There are many aspects. Patient is complaining of reduced appetite, impaired digestion, and some amount of vibandha is there. That is participatory bowel habits. There are 2 aspects in IBS. So in such situation, we have to go for the avipatti karachurna. So likewise, it varies according to patient. Now, Shunti is one of the best things because it is also considered in Dashayamani of Traptigna Gana. And Shunti is actually coming under the category of Pachana and Deepana. Meanwhile, The concept quoted in Ayurveda about Panchakola or the Shadushana, they are also good. Panchakola or the Shadushana Kashaya, these are also beneficial. Shadharanam tablet is available nowadays. Shadharanam tablet is patient friendly. It may also be given to the patient.
It's from whom? Who's producing it, and what are the components?
Components Shadharana, Sushruta Samhita, Vatavyadi Chikitsa reference. Almost all the Kerala companies are producing Shadharanam.
Okay. Actually, these are very important drugs for treatment of many diseases.
Of course.
Not only GI tract, of all the system.
Of course. That's why it is also a popular prescription for Amavata.
Yeah. Acha, somebody has asked, Nasya acts over HPO axis. Yeah, definitely. Because this access to the HPO system is easy because Nasya, this nasal root provides a very important this thing, but it acts indirectly by producing certain mediating factors. Many protein allergy and to peanuts or pulses with otherwise well tolerated earlier. I think you should ask this to Niranjan, because I am also suffering from some sort of allergy, and it is being taken care by Professor Rao in a very efficient manner. I think I am suffering it. I am suffering from it from the last 1 year. I think last 1 month I am reasonably able to interact. That's why I was able to give this talk. Otherwise, I would not have been in a position to give talk continuously without getting interrupted. Please, Niranjan, please, advisor.
Question is?
Protein allergy and allergy to peanuts and the pulses, which are controlled earlier, they are not being controlled now. So now it has become difficult to control the allergy due to protein, peanuts, and pulses.
The question is very simple here. We should not categorize according to peanut or something else. We have to consider according to which is the cause from the point of Ayurveda. So protein, etc., we should not think. We have to think on the lines of which particular Viruddha Ahara is. I will give you one simple example, sir. One of my teacher, he had the problem of atopic dermatitis, and his skin color changed, turgor changed, and texture changed, everything. For 40 years, he had one habit in the night. He is going to drink 1 or 2 glasses of milk, and immediately he is going to consume the Mysore Vadahannu, plantain. Actually, that is Viruddha, Shira and this one. And for 40 plus years, he did it. And ultimately, it came to know few people. And after actually speaking, Virechana done and not much relief. But once this habit was changed and simple Anulomana given on daily basis, is a targar, everything changed.
Anulomana kyaudu? Which one for Anulomana?
Anulomana for him daily Swadishta Virechana Vachirana was given.
Oh, okay. And of course, they should avoid pulses. You can go for this, green grams instead of Bengal.
Sir. That's why I have raised the issue of Trivida Kukshu one. Second thing is related to Ahara with Vishesha Ayatana. Recently, I came to the contact of one patient. He is having infertility. He had the habit of mixing hot tea with honey.
Oh, yeah. Many people do that.
That is the root cause for his poor semen quality. It is Viruddha Ahara.
Yes.
So, likewise, we may get a lot of things, sir. From the point of Ayurveda principle, we have to consider.
Again, Ishwar Rao is asking about your explanation about Garavisha and Dusivisha, how to manage them.
Of course, we have to find out the Garavisha and this one relationship with the help of his or her food habits, mainly his or food habits. That's why I have raised the issue of one Charaka Sutra, 26th and 27th chapter, related with the phenomena. That's why see, if, in the first sloka itself, we started Shandya. That is the phenomenon with the fertility. In the same the lines, some 20 plus symptomatology are identified with the skin manifestations, right from the skin to that of the fertility. So this is one of the important things.
What about exposure to environment like Bangalore?
Definitely, sir.
Huh?
That's actually, it may be considered under the category of the Viruddha only.
And also these guys, you know, they're eating up on Mac donuts, whatever it is. I think they contain a huge amount of preservatives. So I think they are definitely come under this Garavisha.
We have to consider that one. Ashtanga Sangraha Uttara Tantra, there he identified the treatment also, sir. That Murvadi Yoga, I have told that Murvadi Kashaya or Murvadi, it may be converted into tablet. That is one of the things. Or Dushi Vishari Gulika, Nili Tulasiyadi Kashaya, Makki Puvadi Kashaya. Like this, these Kashaya or tablets are helping a lot. Hence, that concept of Visha, Garavisha, Dushi Visha, we have to ascertain what is the food habit patient. In the initial phase, we may not get. As I told, my primary teacher never revealed his habit of consuming that milk as well as the plantain. So after a few weeks only he revealed. Then we came to know, oh, this is the cause. There are many such things, sir.
This Dushivisha concept in the Dushivisha concept. I think.
Dushivisha also same. Commentary by the commentators in that Dushivisha. Even medicines may act as Dushi. Okay. So today we are in a position to identify excessive consumption of paracetamol that itself causes hepatic damage. Simplest of simple medicine. That will cause. There are many other things we may consider. In many patients, amikacin, diclofenac. Yes. Wagbhat identified that one, medicines. Commentators identified that one. So that is one of the causative factors.
Thank you, sir. So we have one Dr. Ritika Manjula who have raised her hand, sir.
Yes.
Doctor, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Namaste, doctor.
Yes, namaste.
Yeah, my question is very simple. Do we have different Deepaniya and Pachaniya drugs to act at Jataragni, Datvagni and Bhutagni levels, sir?
Oh, very simple. As question is simple, answer is also simple. You may consider one example. Shunti may act at the Dhatu level. Pippali may act at the level of Dhatu. Bhallataka may act at the level of Dhatu. These are the simplest of simple things. Meanwhile, those acting on Dhatu may definitely act on the Jataragni. Even consumption of hot water is also act as the Pachana.
Okay.
So like this, we have to identify. See, Shadoshana I mentioned Shadharana, I mentioned Panchakola, I mentioned Trikatu. So these are also simple things. As the patient is getting involvement of deeper tissues or the dhatus, the drugs like the Bhallataka, these are Tikshna Dravya, or the Pippali, this may be considered. Hence, Bhallataka, Pippali must not be used for the longer duration.
Okay.
And it is individualistic. At the level of Shukra, Bhallataka may act. At the level of the Asti and Majja, Gugulu may act. So that differs from one dhatu to another dhatu, one samprapta to another samprapta.
Okay. We have reference for all these, sir?
Of course, indirect reference. That these are called as tacit references. In Ayurveda, you should not consider a ready-made or prepared food. For example, I will tell you, each thing is Ayurveda. You have to consider three artha. One is the daily, simple. Second one is Gudhartha. Third one is Sanketartha, Artha Suchyartha. For example, in Rasayana Adhyaya, they talked about something like that of the mandala in the cow. That mandala means patches, white patches should be on the body. When he talked so, it is actually indication that that medicine should be given for a period of one mandal. That is 48 days. That is the Suchyartha. You may see such things in case of Vedas where Karika or the Bhashya or the Brahmana or the Aranyaka, like this you may see. Unfortunately, such things are actually not available directly in Ayurveda. Sometimes you may get the help of the commentators, many times you have to think on different lines, like that of the Sankhya Shastra, like something like that of the other meanings. I will give you an example. In Ayurveda, in Sanskrit, there are many meanings. So I will tell you about this one. Trivrati is one such a drug. Trivrati is having a meaning of Suvaha. So when he talked about the Trivrati, you have to consider it is Sukavirechana. You have to consider Suvaha. It should be given the things in case of Sukavirechana only, not in case of the Bedaniya or Bedana, this one. There are many such things. Word Bahu is having n number of meanings. One meaning is the boat. One meaning is the boat which is comprising of a lot of this one, what you call as its ringle. But at the same time, Bahu is also having the meaning of two extremities, particularly upper extremities. So where to use which type of meaning, it is left to the person who is identifying the samhitas in different way. So Kamsa Haritak is there. Kamsa Haritak is very simple. When he is talking about Kamsa as one of the Mana Paribhasha, is it only so? No, there are many other aspects. Meaning of Kamsa we have to see. Or Vyagri Haritak. Vyagri, simply we are talking one of the synonym for the plant, that is Kantakari. But apart from that one, we agree there are other meanings. We have to identify those meanings.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Rahul. But this type of explanation is missing from our teaching. That's the tragedy. So
True,
in undergraduate thing, we need to teach language interpretation of the words, each and every important words, and then we should allow them to practice on the basis of Samhita based treatment. You will get wonderful results. Rao, Ishwar again asked about Sanjeevani Vati, what it can do in Vishas.
There are many Sanjeevani Vatis. Nearly 13 references are there, right from the Jwara, Atisara to that of Visha. So reference must be considered before actually prescribing. Ananda Bhairavara, one Jwara Samprapti is there, one Jwaratisara Samprapti is there. The drug which is mentioned for Jwara, if we are using in Jwaratisara, that's diarrhea or dysentery, it will not work. Hello? Hello?
Somebody trying to speak. Is it Ishwar Rao?
No, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Somebody has submitted.
Sanjeevani Vati, Ananda Bhairavasa, whatever it may be, the reference should be important, ingredient should be important. Those Sanjeevani Vati which we are prescribing, if it is mentioned in Atisara or the Jwara, it is of no use in case of other diseases. So it should be disease specific. Some Sanjeevani Vati references are available for Atisara, Grahani, particularly Grahani. It should be used there. Sanjeevani Vati or Vilvadi Vati mentioned in the Visha context should be used for Visha. That may be for allergy also. But we have to ascertain from the companies, they should mention which particular adhikara. Many a times that is not done. That's the problem.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Delegates, any more questions?
If there are questions, please send it to my email. Okay.
We have one more question, sir.
If there are questions, please send it to my mail. My mail is available and please display it. And good night for everyone. And my special salutation to my sir. Thank you very much. And for congratulations to Nisha.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
It is all because of your teaching. I'm just your voice, that's all. Whatever I said, it is
very
from
nice
your teaching.
Very nice.
But and also our coordinating skills are extraordinary.
Of course, we have to appreciate.
See, motivated us to come out with the preparation of this. I had a lot of information, but I had not prepared in the form of a presentation. And because of her, I sat down and prepared this.
Thank you, sir.
So all credit to you. Keep it, and we, of course, we are always there with you for any of your endeavors.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Ajay Paul, Associate Professor, Department of Roganidana, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, to deliver the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Thank you. On the behalf of Ayurveda College, Coimbatore and Team Diksha, it is my privilege and a great joy for me to extend the vote of thanks for today's session. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Ravi Shankar sir and Niranjan Rao sir and Nisha Kumari madam for sharing your valuable knowledge on Kayagni and gut microbes. I think almost all concepts have been well explained and made into a simplified form so that each and every one got benefited by your enlightened discussions. Thank you all our guest speakers. Last but not least, let me thank all delegates who have responded so well to our invitation and made it a grand success. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. With that, we come to an end of today's session. Our next session will be on September 12 by Dr. David Frawley on the topic Yoga and Ayurvedic Psychology and their relevance in COVID pandemic era at 10 a.m. And second session by Dr. Arun Gupta, HOD, Department of Panchakarma on the topic Analysis of Murdini Thailam in various disorders at 11:30 a.m. To know all the further updates, please stay connected with us in our social media. Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, all the participants, for joining us today and hope to see you all in the upcoming session. Until then, stay home, stay safe. Thank you all and good night.
Good night. Good night.